This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram at Lone Wolf PB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community. This episode of PTG is brought to you by Transfuse, the hydration, immunity, and mental clarity booster, and Transcend Nootropics. And with just one serving of Transfuse, it is equal to 4 of the competitors in one. And there is no other formula as potent as Transfuse on the market. And you are all encouraged to go and compare the formulas with any other products on the market and see for yourself just how amazing it is. Transfuse uses all natural flavors, colors, and sweeteners, and there's no proprietary blends, so you know exactly every milligram of each ingredient you are consuming. This formula was created to optimize your mind, body, and immunity, and Transfuse can be used as a high-performance multiplier for working out and any competitive sports or demanding lifestyles. Also, be sure to get your hands on the Transcend, which is a nootropic formula that improves cognitive function and can replace your morning coffee, pre-workouts, energy drinks, or energy shots. The formula contains lion's mane, alpha GPC, teacrine, and dynamin. Transcend was created based off of research studies to help with cognitive control and mental function. So get your hands on some Transcend and some Transfuse today. Head on over to transfuseusa.com. Use code PLAYTHEGAME for 10% off and sign up for monthly delivery service for an additional 10% off to take advantage of 20% off these products altogether right now. Head on over there, support PTG. We appreciate you, and we'll see you in the show. This episode of PTG is brought to you by HK Army. HK is an industry leader in high-quality paintball gear, accessories, and lifestyle apparel that was founded in 2007. And we have a tremendous opportunity for you all to be geared up on every level with HK Army custom team gear. Whether you're on the paintball field or in the airsoft arena, take your game to the next level by using code PTG to get 50% off your custom gear design fee. And I don't think y'all heard me out there. That is 50% off, and you will be able to collaborate with a seasoned designer to create custom branded HK Army jerseys, long sleeves, t-shirts, pants, gloves, or headbands for your team with no minimum order quantity. Head on over to hkarmy.com/custom and use code PTG for 50% off on your team's custom gear design fee right now. Let's go. Thank you, HK Army, for everything you do in paintball, in airsoft, and in so many people's lives. We love you. Go check them out.
What's going on, PTG Nation? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This episode is one of the best episodes we've had in a long time. Oliver Lang joins us to talk about some major Hormesis news and the Elite 1 vs. 1 tour. Things are looking great for paintball in the future, and without really giving up any more of the details, I'm just going to zip it right here and let you guys dive right into this masterpiece of an episode. Without further ado, let's hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game. He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Thank you for tuning in to Play the Game podcast. We have the one and only, the GOAT of GOATs, the legend of legends, Oliver Lang, joining us today on the show. MC Monarch, for everybody that knows him, with his new career as a rap artist, making a really big push into the mainstream right now. Big boy on the screen. How you doing, Lang? And He's from Bali right now, so let's tap in.
Dude, it's just such a good day when I get to hang out and talk to you guys and
Okay. We're going with the phone call.
Uh-oh.
Oliver, I've got a brilliant idea. Just open your WhatsApp. I'm going to call you. Keep your video here though. Don't worry.
we did this.
Maybe we need to do that again.
Yeah. No, this is great. It's part of the show. See, we tried for about 10 minutes beforehand
No,
to
here,
get it, Oh, what'd you do?
No, let's do it right. I mean, I got another iPad that I can work on.
Okay,
Just
what
give
are
him
you
a
on right
phone
now?
call.
What are you on right now?
Nothing.
Oh boy.
There we go. We're calling him. We're getting him on the WhatsApp. We're going to keep the video running here. Welcome to PTV.
What do you mean?
It's an everyday exploration. We're calling you, Oliver. Pick up the phone.
Answer, bro.
Okay.
Hello.
There we go.
Hello.
We got
Yes.
your
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, I'm here.
We got live action on
Okay.
PTG
Can you hear
right
me?
now.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Can you see me also?
Yeah, and we can see you also. So like this is a workaround.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a workaround. I like it. Okay, well, I'm sorry about that.
You let us know though. What are you on right now? We can restart this. I know you want the beginning to go smooth, but you said you could get your iPad. What are you on right now?
Yeah, I'm on my computer. I could probably, the iPad might be a little bit better. You know, I don't know, for some reason. I don't know.
I'm digging this.
It's never happened like this. We've done 3 of them before,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's happening.
This,
Dude, I'm digging
this works
this.
well
This
too.
is good.
Yeah, I like it. Keep it moving.
All right. Yeah, and if it comes back, we can. It's good.
So the only thing is you'll have to like unplug your headphone because I think the mic on that is going to pick up the audio possibly.
Yeah, already.
Okay.
He's got it.
Beautiful. Ollie, Ollie. How's it going out there, man? Talk to us. We're super excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Like I said, man, it's always a treat to talk to 2 of my favorite people and talk about paintball, and especially around this topic. Life's good. It was a hectic summer, as you guys know, that we'll get into, and yeah, it's like I was gone for maybe 3 months, and that was, I don't know if you guys have ever done that in your life, but going away from your home for 3 months and going on a massive tour and doing a lot of cool things, played at an event, and it was amazing, but I'm kind of wearing it a little bit right now because it's like kind of hard to get back into, get grounded and, get back at home and get back into rhythm. And I'm like, what is my rhythm? So I'm a little bit, not lost at the moment, but a little bit, confused. And then I got to pick up and come back to the US, end of this month and, middle of next month. And then be there for the grand finale, which we'll talk about. And then, play some practice with you guys, Marcelo, come support you guys.
Nice.
And then do the World Cup, and then we're actually opening a store also in San Francisco. So it's like a whirlwind right now,
That
What?
is insane. Hold on.
Opening a store in San Francisco?
Damn.
Yeah, we're going pro.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
You guys are going pro.
Nice. That is going pro for sure. You guys got the gold package.
Yeah, well, Alex has some of that supreme monopoly property. He's got the boardwalk in San Fran. So it's a blessing, and it's just the way these things evolve. And I think we've got a cool product. I think like in terms of outside of paintball fashion wear, we've got something that's cool, that's sustainable, that's hip, that's unique, that's different, that's colorful, that's bright, that has meaning. And so we're gonna try to bring it into the public's eye. Not. Yes, of course, it'll be somewhat paintball connected, but we're going to try to branch out and really grow this brand outside of the sport. But we also want it to be somewhat reflective of the game, and what it means to play paintball, as well as really create a lifestyle around it, which is, I think, whenever somebody does that in a sport, it blows up, right? So like when I used to skateboard, it wasn't cool to be a skater in a sense of how you dress and, acted or whatnot. I mean, it was cool for us, but like not outside of us. And then the minute that, Vans blew up and Airwalk and, these bigger brands, where it became, literally a household item where, even if you never skateboarded in your life, you wore DC shoes,
Absolutely.
So we need to do that for paintball is what I'm trying to accomplish here is branch out there, get people interested, see that there's a lifestyle, see that there's value in it. And not only will that be great for the sport.
That's tremendous, man. That is so crazy. And then just to rewind a little, like you said, you've been on a 3-month journey across the United States. You recently just got back home, and I can only imagine what that transition has been like. MC Monarch was on a good one, just ripping around the US, having fun. So talk to me about, what it's been like having that experience and then coming back home to Bali.
Well, I mean, the tour life is a serious thing. Like, we all kind of look at all these artists and people who tour, and you think it's so easy and fun and glamorous. And there's probably some fun and glamour and, some joy to it. But, there's a lot of downtime in between that's not as glamorous, a lot of driving, a lot of eating at strange restaurants, the schlep. And, yeah, so, it's, I also, I haven't spent that much time in America since I left. So it was somewhat of a beautiful reintroduction. It was really nice to be a tourist again. It was really nice to come and, I felt like it was a very cool thing to go to these paintball fields and show up and be there firsthand. Not only just for just to be there, but we're going to bring you an event. We're going to bring you a booth. We're going to bring you something special. You're going to make money on it. The community is going to get, stoked on it. And bam, we're going to pack up and go again the next weekend to another location and do it again and do that for 2 months, straight. This is kind of insane, right? So it was a cool way to come back into it. And it was a little bit of a litmus test to be able to, see what paintball is like and where are the good players and, how is it played? How is paintball played in Boston versus how it's played in Arizona, right? And you guys kind of know these things because you live there to a certain degree, and then you also, will go and do clinics. But I was really blessed to be able to see firsthand what it was really like in the paintball community there. What were the struggles? What were the people, what were their issues to try to make the event? What was the drama? What was the political nonsense? There's a lot of this turmoil in the sport that is something I'm trying to get resolved also. It's like, oh, well, he plays at this field and the joust is at that field, so I can't go. And it's like, come on, man, we have to really move above and beyond that. And so it's interesting to see how different regions acted, how different regions, some people just showed up and were it was amazing, and then, to read the people and see how people are in the community in these different places, and also attitudes in terms of even the geographic location, the Boston attitude is a little bit different than the California attitude, right? So it's interesting, it was something I was never really aware of so much before, and also before it was such a novelty for me just to go to these fields, now it was different. I felt like I was working at the field. I felt like I was part of what was going on there, and we spent sometimes 3-4 days at the field, in Ohio, we spent a week just at the paintball field, every day, so yeah, anyways, it was just an amazing reintroduction back into America, back to the paintball community. And it was really a litmus test to see, what's going on and what are the struggles and, what are what's working and, who's flourishing and who's not, so it was a beautiful, interesting reemergence. And, it took me, still taking me some time to kind of, decompress after that. So to answer your question, Tyler, now I'm a little bit, not lost, but like, just like, okay, what's going on? What's going on in life? Also I just had a birthday. So, there's just a confluence of different energies, occurring. And there's a lot happening in my world, and it's all beautiful, but it's all somewhat, it
Mhm.
takes it takes a lot, So, and I feel like, again, it's not work and it's not a burden, but there's a lot that I feel like I owe to the sport and things and people. And, I feel like Hormesis is my leverage in a sense to be able to accomplish these things that I want to accomplish. And I'm recognizing that, like, it's going to be a lot of work, and if I do it right and I get the right support, then I can do it. But
Mhm.
ultimately, I'm 2 months into this manifestation, and then 3 months now it's over, and then now I've got one more event. So with that being said, it's kind of like when you have a manifestation and you create something and everything comes together, it's kind of like, okay, that was great, that's amazing. Now what? And it's almost like the now what is it's a little bit unknown, and it's a little bit not scary, but it's a little bit like, how is this gonna unfold? What's gonna happen with it? And it takes energy to drive these types of things. So that's why also I appreciate you guys allowing me to have the voice on this podcast, because I also recognize how valuable your guys' podcast was while I was touring. And I don't know if you guys even know how valuable your podcast is, because this is really the forefront platform for information, good information. Like, not, this isn't bad information. Like, you've got good, high quality people on here sharing, their life, their stories. And, I got a lot of people coming up to me saying, hey, I heard about this on the Play the Game podcast. And, they wouldn't have showed up if I didn't have that ability to speak into this, platform, with you guys. So I really value you guys. And I think that you guys are doing a great service for the paintball community, and probably you're touching and helping more people than you guys know, So it was something, again, part of what I picked up on my little tour, seeing what's going on in the paintball communities across America. But one thing that I definitely learned was that, these things are working. The podcasts are working, and people are listening, and, they're picking up the info and they're applying it from here, So it's good work.
Well, dude, it's us, Ollie, and we love you so much. We love this paintball community as a whole with all of our heart, and you just hit me dead in the heart with that. So it's all love for paintball, and it'll always be all love for paintball, and it takes all of us working hard together to make this dream a reality. And I really think that what you hit on there was so powerful, talking about that creative process and how it's never over. It's never over. As soon as you've manifested what you're trying to manifest, then you have to look at the creative process and ask yourself, all right, what now? What's next? And, as big as our dreams can be and are, they can always be bigger, and we can expand and be more and be a part of that really powerful creative flow. And that's something that you've always been a master at, and just in life in general, dominate and have one of the biggest hearts in the world. So we commend you for everything that you do in the game and the love and the passion that you pour into everything. Because I saw you out there on that tour, Monarch, and you were working, boy. You were working.
Yeah, it's good to work. It's good to get out there, and it's a labor of love for the game. You touched on something there. This thing it's not even close to over. Even if you guys think when you retire that it's over, it's not over. It just evolves into something new, and there's a lot to this life. And I don't know when you get old yet. I haven't figured that out. But the point is that even and I'm kind of a little bit ahead of you guys in the sense, because now I've pulled back and I'm putting my energy into different things, as you guys are as well, but you guys are still playing very competitively. But the point is that there's so much of the evolution of your mastery in this game. This podcast is the huge aspect of your mastery of the game. This is well and above beyond the field aspect, right? Mm-hmm. So there's the field aspect, there's the team aspect, there's there's a business aspect, there's the creative aspect. There's so many aspects of it, and it's like, I would have never thought that I would have ever created a new format for the game. If you would have asked me that 10 years ago, I would have been like, no, whatever it is good. And let's just play whatever they tell us to play. Now being able to step back and look at things, I'm like, okay, this is a really cool concept and really cool idea that I think will be beneficial to anybody who plays the game and potentially into the future. Like potentially Theo could be playing the duel and winning, I don't know, $1 million for first place at one day, right? Mm-hmm. So the thing is that this is part of my evolutionary process in my mastery of the sport also, and it'll evolve into something else later. It'll evolve into something greater later. I don't know what that is, so, and you guys will have the same trajectory as you guys are already on. So it's fascinating, and it's very cool to be able to see it and also be able to reflect with you guys on it, because we've been on this journey for so long together. I mean, I've known you guys since you guys were, I don't know, 12, 10, 11, and what are you guys now, 30 something, right? And this is maybe the middle of it. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride.
So there's so much to it, right?
Yeah, dude. It's been the best. Paintball is truly the greatest. And I know we can all attest to that. It's changed all of our lives and saved all of our lives in ways that can't even fathom, really, and it's all about the love of the game. We talk about it all the time, but this game is a very special sport, and when you play it, and especially the one-on-one format, I really love what you're doing with that, because it hardwires players with all the good tendencies and reading seams right away. One-on-ones are very important. It's kind of what paintball is predicated on. You have to play a bunch of one-on-ones, even in a 5-on-5 match. So being able to dissect that portion of the game and really make it a fun, entertaining battle is something that will definitely be moving into the forward. And I'm sure, who knows, you have these different formats, maybe a pay-per-view, something like that, and you can have some big opportunities for people to have life-changing circumstances playing a one-on-one.
Totally. I mean, the real essence of it, and, we'll get into the more details here in a little bit, and I'll let you guys ask some questions, or you can, however we want to format it. But, like the way that I track it, and the reason why I see it, the way that I see it in this one-on-one format, it's not that 7-man or 10-man or 5-on-5. It's not that that's not good. All those are excellent formats. The thing is that, let's be honest, like some people will go to the paintball field and they might play, let's just say they play 10 points, right? On a 5-on-5, right? With their team. If they're even fortunate enough to have a team and have the paint. So they play 10 points, right? So in those 10 points, let's just say they get shot off the break once or twice, right? So now they got 8 points, right? The other time, let's just say they had a good success in that 8 points. And, let's just say out of 5 of those 8 points, they did some damage and they learned a little bit. That's only 5 points that they really learned anything, right? That they really got an experiential moment for the day. So in the one-on-one, when you do the joust, or when you do the duel, or when you do what I'm calling the sharpening, which is like a practice version, like literally you get hand-to-hand combat. Like you get like 20 points in a row where it's like boom, 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 boom. It's like in your face. It's that high intensity. It's those moment points. And you get 20, 30 of those, depending on how many you play, right? And the thing is that you need those under your belt to be able to have the experience, to be able to go into the practice really, and be able to actually know what you're doing in those high intensity moments, in those crucial, pivotal moments, like real game time action, like most people don't ever really get the game time action. And what I mean by that is like, you get 5 of them a day, maybe, if you play 10 points, right? Like maybe, right? That's not very much. So imagine you got to do that. You have to play, what's that? Like every weekend, 10 points, maybe let's just call it Saturday and Sunday, that's 20 points. So you get 10 good points a weekend, and you got to do that, 10 weekends out of the year. So you get 100 points like a year. Like that doesn't really improve your skill that much. It's not very much. And so you guys know, when we used to go do the drills, right? We used to go do, 2-on-2s, or we even used to have 1-on-1 tournaments. It's that fast, it's that amount of paintball that you get to have in one day that really just catapults you through the roof in terms of skill level, right? Like if you just go and you only play a couple points, you're not really getting that much better. So the essence of this is to be able to play a lot, and to be able to play a lot fast, so that you could potentially have 100 hand-to-hand combat, snap shooting, running and shooting, off the break shooting points in one day. You could have 100 of those in one day, which would normally equate to maybe a year of playing paintball. So that's my short but long-winded speech about the reason why I think there's value in this, is that you can play a lot more faster, and you can get a lot better faster doing this. And you can get into those real game time experiences without having the big ordeal of getting a full-on 5-on-5 team and playing against another 5-on-5 team on a big 5-on-5 field. It's just much simpler to be able to go faster, quickly, playing, points, potentially in a duel. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Duel, it's a race to 10. It's a race to 10. So potentially, if you do a good job, you've got 20 points that you're playing in that match, right? Like, and potentially more based on simos and based on, no points, so when you shoot somebody and they shoot you,
and you have to win by
go
2
anywhere. But
as well.
Yeah,
right?
and you have to win by 2, so potentially you could go further. Yeah. But the point is that you're going to play a lot, and you're going to get 20 off the break. 20 off the break. It's like, imagine drilling 20 times off the break, right? And then, you're going to have 20 snap shooting possibilities, and maybe bunkerings, right? So it's just a lot more paintball, and it's cheaper, so there's another added value to it. And, and it's less field. You don't need as much field. You don't need as much bunkers, you don't need as many things. And we can get into more of those details later. But the essence is, if you wanted to go this weekend, like, remember, Tyler, we used to go and play at Rich's field, and we go to the speedball field and we play that 1-on-1, right? Remember, you even said that I shot you one, or you shot me one time, remember?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a high distilled paintball education right there, Like, when you go to the big field and you have to look at the field, and you have to know the field, and you have to get it all organized with, where you're going and who's playing and da, 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 da. This is amazing. And this is very high paintball wisdom as well, just to do that. But the difference is the other version so much more distilled, right? And you can play more of it. You can get more from it in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
It's funny that,
paint,
Yeah, and really quick, I would like to touch on something. We're talking a lot about skill, but something that I think it really does for you is it hones in on the mental aspect of the game too, because it teaches you how to be a winner. It teaches you how to, it's just you against one other person. So you can't hide behind teammates, and it's going to give you confidence if you do come out victorious. And if you don't, you can go back to the drawing board, work on your skills, work on your fundamentals, figure out what went wrong. And it's all internal. You're looking internal at this, and that's why when we're doing clinics or when I'm coaching teams, we play a ton of 1-on-1s or even 2-on-2s, like you said, because it teaches players to just kind of take the game upon themselves and go and win a point, or just eliminate your opponent, which is really the essence of the game. Be the one to go do it. Be the one to take the ball and shoot it. And the 1-on-1s force you to do that. You can't hide.
Well, I like what you said, because that's true. What it does is it gives you the confidence. And how do you get confidence in anything? You do it a lot of times. So the first time you do something, you're not going to have very much confidence in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're a natural. But for the most part, it takes a little bit of time to get your feet under, from underneath you and be able to stand tall in whatever you're doing. And I tell you right now, like, I was just in Thailand and they invited me over to do one, and they were amazing. And it was really cool to be in Thailand. And, the guy who brought me over was like, hey, can we do a clinic? And I'm like, no, I don't really do that anymore. You can get a Harrison Fry, or there's other people that will come, I was like, if you're interested, I can I can do a joust for you, and I can teach you how to do the joust so that you can potentially be running joust and doing joust and honing your skills and getting better. And I can give you a little bit of like, more detailed, wisdom, IQ, paintball IQ about, how to do things, right? So I can help you personally. He's like, okay, cool. So we did it, and it was a success. One thing that a lot of people liked it, but they were like, oh, we just want to play 5-on-5. And, I'm not trying to be a mean, but like most of these guys, they should not even be playing 5-on-5 yet. Like they're just not, they're not there yet, like, yes, you can do it, but like, you're not really shooting anybody. You don't really know how to start. You don't really know where to go. You don't really understand, the formation of the bunkers. You don't really understand communication. It's like they're jumping into the deep end without really knowing how to even swim. Right. And granted, that might just be a few of them, but I feel like that might be somewhat universal across the board in a lot of places in the world, because there's no other starting place. It's like, oh, you want to play? Here you go. We play 5-on-5 and this is how you play. It's like, you're pretty much giving them the most professional version of it instantly, where it's like, wait a second, these guys are just beginners,
Yeah, and shout out to Thailand one time. I think I know the players that you're playing with. They're part of the PTG family as well. So major love to Thailand and the paintball scene out there.
Everybody in Asia's always been an interesting place because they've always emulated, everybody emulates Americans, right? So the way that you guys play, and actually I even learned this last weekend, which I wasn't such a big fan about, but when you guys are playing, when he's playing Dynasty, like you guys are in a heavyweight freaking boxing match. Like you guys understand everything that's going on there. Every player that's going on there, every nuance, you every factor that's out there on a professional level, you guys get it. Dude, the rest of the world is now playing like damage plays and like these other pro teams are playing very slowly because they think that's how they need to play. It's like they're trying to play at a professional level, but they're not even close to somewhat professional, So they're emulating playing very slow, very, pretty much going to 5 spots and not leaving until there's 2 guys left on the other side, right? And it's like, okay, I get it. Yes, it works in the pros, but like you have to learn. You have to go through you can't just do what the pros do right away. You have to go through all the formation of the growth of this sport, like there, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's almost like there's too much, like everybody's trying too much and too hard, and there's too much value and too much, on these matches. And, maybe it's expensive even, and, ego and such. It's like when we used to play, like we used to just to play as much as we can play and shoot each other as much as we can, shoot each other and get off the field, And if we got the possibility to play a tournament later, then that was a benefit. And we would, potentially do well in it because we played so much. Nowadays, it's like, I don't know what it's like in America, to be honest, in terms of the 5-on-5. But, in Asia, they're telling me that they just pretty much play very slow paintball now because that's what the Americans do, And I'm like, wow, well, you shouldn't do that. That's not the correct way of doing it. You guys should play your way and figure out how to play as much as possible. And, do it differently. Don't try to do it the way the pro Americans do it.
What's funny about that too is I remember playing over in Asia. Played in Thailand, Malaysia, and there have been teams from all over different parts of Asia. And I remember playing against very aggressive teams, and this was probably 7-8 years ago, but their style was very aggressive at that time. And I was like, it actually worked because it was kind of so chaotic, that we would try to slow the game down. We did a Nations Cup over there in Thailand with Acha, actually. And I know, you were over there with Acha. Shout out to Acha. He's one of the greatest ever. And the style just ended up working. Like, it was like, okay, we can't slow them down because they're just making all these crazy unconventional moves, so that does work. But back to emulating the slow paintball that that say Damage is playing right now, I think the nuance that gets lost on players that don't really know what they're watching is that big moves are still being made. Yeah, they might play slower than other pro teams, definitely, but still the timing of which like their players decide to make big moves are actually the game changers within matches. The games really aren't won or lost. They're just not lost from making moves. You know what I mean? Damage plays a style that they're not going to lose the game because they make too many moves. But they, you know, they'll like let you make the mistakes, and then occasionally they will make some big moves that will be game changers. And that nuance is lost on players that don't really know what they're looking at, in my opinion. You know, in the
again,
yeah.
you're talking a very high level paintball like you. Like I don't
Totally.
know what's going on in the NFL football. You
Right.
know, like I don't know what's going on. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't go play on the weekend and try to do what they do in the NFL. You know, like
no way.
There's a different scale to it. And you're right. Like the way that Damage is playing, and even, you know, Dynasty plays, and even Heat, and everybody who's smart, you know, you're trying not to make mistakes. And when you can make a big move, you take it, you know, like there's value in that, you know, and that is the right way how to play it for the most part. It's not as exciting, I think. You know, I like seeing, you know, I mean, back at Ironman paintball, it's like you die going forward, you know, it's like, okay, at least we went forward, you know, but I guess it's different now, and I'm okay with that. And, you know, it's just the way the evolution of the game goes. And I'm not trying to get lost in the weeds on that, but what I'm really trying to say is that, you know, there's a lot of people that, you know, you guys are blessed. I'm blessed. We got to play paintball at a very high level, and you guys are still doing it, and you get paid. Dude, there's not that many people out there that get that, you know, like you're probably, you know, or two of 100, you know, and the rest of the world pays a lot of money to play paintball, and they invest a lot of time and, you know, airfare and everything. Like nobody's getting significantly better. And that's my big holdup in the whole industry. There are some teams that will persevere. And again, it's very difficult. I get it. But in general, you know, there needs to be a big boost of individual play in the next 5 to 10 years, because I don't believe that paintball has had its day yet. You know, like there's moments where that paintball was relatively big, but if you track every sport, you know, there's ebbs and flows. I feel like we're preparing for a big explosion of paintball in the next 5 to 10 years. And what I need to do, and this is my personal goal, shall you choose to help me, which you guys are to a certain degree, it's that we need to make players better, and we need to start grooming the future generations of the sport. And we need to get them excellent. And you guys are doing that through clinics, and that's a great modality. But you can't do a clinic every weekend. You know, we need to somehow set it up so it can be somewhat evergreen. And that's what these formats do. Like, I want every field in the USA, in Europe, in Asia, you just build a one-on-one field. Here you go. It's simple. It's 16 bunkers. Here's the size. Play. Just get the guys out there playing. They can go out there and they can grind themselves into the ground and play tons of one-on-one matches and get all that experience under their belt in 1 hour. And then you can go and either go home or go play the other formats, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my big mission. Yeah. And, is I want to get other players really good, you know, and how do we do that? And to be honest, this is the only way that I figured out.
Yeah, and I don't think you're wrong at all, Oliver. It is going to definitely sharpen the swords and have people really hungry out there. And you get a ton of experience in a short amount of time, like you said. And I'll never forget back out in Modesto in like 2003 or 2004, I don't know, the spool drill where we would do these one-on-ones with the spools and just doing those gunfighting actions and having to think about gunfighting in a really tight quarter area because we were only like 15 or 20 feet away from each other. It makes you earn gunfights and have a different perspective on the game that you don't get just playing, you know, point after point. And it also is going to be a great way to groom players to play high-level paintball in a 5-on-5 or whatever the format is in the future. It could be You know, I don't know what it'll be, but I know that there will always be team paintball as well because it's extremely exciting and important, and there's a lot of layers to it. But having the one-on-one format is a phenomenal way to groom the future and really sharpen their skills up, the moving and shooting, the gunfighting, the processing of moves. All those nuances are found in the one-on-one. And if you break down high level big paintball games, 5-on-5, whatever the format, all a player is doing is weighing out a bunch of different one-on-ones. He's playing, the player, he or she, whoever is playing that game, is playing a bunch of one-on-ones. So you've really broken it down to like the base level of it, and it will continue to nurture the future of the game by having that instilled in this this format. You know, the 1v1 battle royale.
Totally. And look, you really get it, because this isn't about taking anything away from anything else. Like, that's like the one thing I really want to stress. It's like the one thing that is kind of a little bit that I don't like in paintball, I will say, it's the one thing I don't really like, is everybody is so, and maybe this is just universal, everybody's so, this is where I'm from, and this is how I do it, and this is how we play, and you know, this is my team and that's your team, and we're separate. Like, we really have to go above and beyond the separation of our teams and our geographic locations, race, you know, gender. Like, let's go above and beyond that and recognize that we're all really aiming for something, and we're trying to push it together. And the only way we can really do it is if we do it together. And if we fight each other, you know, then we're never going to get anywhere. And again, that might be a metaphor for the whole, you know, humanity. But the realistic thing about paintball is, like, we could be a really big sport. You know how we do it is everybody helps everybody, you know, no more catty bullshit. No more, I'm this, you're that, I can't support you. It's like, no, we're playing paintball. I support you. Like, I'm coming to your event. I'm coming to your field. I'm coming post, you know? It's like, it's as simple as that. Like, I swear to God, just like posts, you know, follow people, engage, you know, support what they're advocating, you know? Like, there's so many people that can't get off the ground in the sport right now because nobody's supporting them. You know, and we have to support them. Like, anytime there's a new headband company, I follow them and I like their page and I say, nice work, you know, if it's nice stuff and I like it, you know. Otherwise, I just still support it. I still follow it, because we need more brands. You know, we even need more podcasts. You know, we need more people voicing. We need more people activated. You know, like, this is actually the essence of this whole entire tour and this whole elite one-on-one thing in general is a call to action to the whole paintball community to get on board. And I don't want anything from it. It's not like you have to pay me to run these things. It's like, set it up. It's simple. Play paintball. Play as much paintball as you possibly can. Get new people out there. Get new media out there to photograph it. Like, this is a brand new thing where anybody can have a voice now. You could start a YouTube channel on how to play the Elite 101. You could start a Instagram channel on tips and tricks and, you know, how to be a coach for the joust. You know, like, there's so much possibility now in the ethers on something new on the horizon, and everybody needs to get involved. And even not just Elite 101. I'm talking about everything in paintball. You know, like, there's no reason why you shouldn't have 20,000 people listening to your show every week. There's enough people. Why aren't they doing it? Yeah, and I get life is happening and sometimes people are busy. But ultimately, it's because people forget, and, you know, or they don't like it and they don't want to support, and they're like, oh, well, that's PTG and I like this other one. It's like, we really need to just unify. And that's the essence of this. It's so strange to say that, because one-on-one, it sounds like it's individual, but it's actually big unification. Because the way that I see it is, if I went to, you know, your home field that you're playing at, Tyler, like, I could show up and I could play there and I don't have to be a part of any team, and we're all a team all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're all there to help each other, you know? It's kind of like when you show up to a weekend and you know, doing drills with the kids that are out there, all of a sudden it's like, you don't even know who's on what team. Everybody's just playing and doing drills and shooting targets, you know? And it's like, wow, that's the paintball community, you know? And everybody should be doing that in every single location across America, you know, like, on a regular basis. To be honest, I feel like we practice and we train too hard for these events, which could take you somewhere and could lead to something. But ultimately, you know, we need to have other avenues of just being able to play. Like, I want to be able to go to, when I show up in October, I would love to be able to go to a paintball field somewhere in California and just show up and play. But I can't. Like, I need to have a team. I need to make sure there's a field there that I can play on. I need, you know, there's nowhere I can just show up and play. So it's like, if there was a one-on-one field, if these things were all over the U.S., I could go to any field. I could show up in Colorado. I could show up in Indiana, and I could say, okay, I know that there's a one-on-one field. I'll bring my gun. I'll bring my gear, and we'll just do some one-on-ones, you know, and I'll play all the kids, you know. It's like such an opportunity to really just play more paintball, you know.
Hey, real quick, Oliver, I do just want to clarify, because I totally understand what you're saying, but just for the listeners, there are plenty of fields that you could just show up and play, but it's going to be walk-on kind of play, typically the scenario stuff. If you want to play on the tournament side, you kind of need to have at least a 5-man team. That's why, like, anytime we want to go out and play points, we'll try to just see who's available in SoCal to make sure we at least have 5. And I believe that's what you're referring to. But you certainly
can. That's right.
Yeah, of course. Just wanted to make sure that the listeners all are on the same page there. You could obviously go to a paintball field.
Look, there's different grades of this thing, right? It's like you show up, you play for a birthday party, you know, you like it, you show up again, you play a little walk on, you like it, maybe a little bit more. And then what's the next thing, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's what I'm asking. You know, what is the
street ball? Certain fields like Quick Shot does a really good job of this. We were actually out there, and some fields have adopted this. I know PB Fit is another one. It's really about the field just kind of announcing that they're having some sort of, hey, show up and we'll make teams here, you know, and those are nice. Those are nice ways to get people to just come on their own and mix in with others. Back in the day, street ball was a huge thing in Southern California. I think that's where it started. You know, street ball was like the cool thing. You would show up on a random weekend and you would get paired with some of the greats, or you wouldn't, your friends, you know, random people, and you would have a fun day playing paintball, competitive style, you know, but you didn't need to have other players with you. And that kind of got lost along the way. It is making a little bit of a comeback, but the one-on-one thing is a great addition to that. Again, like if I just want to go and sharpen my skills somewhere, that's like the perfect, it's way better than shooting at a target, you know? So if I know that I could show up on a Saturday and I just wanted to do drills that day, that would be the perfect type of thing to have set up. And I'd run those one-on-ones against whoever's there, you know, because somebody shooting back at you is more valuable than just shooting at a pie plate.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so think about that. All of a sudden now this one kid who just showed up, and now he's playing against Marcelo and Tyler and Oliver Lang in one-on-ones. I mean, now all of a sudden that kid just literally got, you know, his level of play just went skyrocketed through the roof, you know, in one weekend probably, right? I mean, when we did these, we pulled over in Utah on the tour, and we did this cool thing that we're making a video, and Mika wanted us to go out there and film some stuff, and we, you know, so on and so forth. But, you know, one day we did all duels, you know, and we played against each other, like me and Yosh and Archie and Ryan and Alex, and, you know, we all got to play against each other. And I loved what Yosh said. You know, Yosh is always just the genius behind everything, and he's like, man, if you just set one of these up, like the third weekend, because, you know, you get the event, and then there's the weekend before is the layout. The weekend before that, maybe you have a practice. If you just did that, you know, if you set up this one-on-one thing, the 3 weekends before the event, and you just did one-on-ones, he's like, your whole skills you'd be so sharp going into practice, you know. And so that's why I'm calling it a sharpening, you know, like, I want to have these available. So, like, let's just say, you know, in San Diego at Victory, if Victory was still there, you know, you'd set it up and you'd go out there and you just know that you're going to sharpen, right? And then next weekend, you're going to go have your tournament practice. And then, you know, the next weekend, you're going to go to the tournament, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like these things need to be set up just so you can play more. And that's all I'm trying to do. And not to mention the cooler other aspect of it, like, you know, finding the local celebrities across the nation and creating heroes out of them, and then giving them a possibility to potentially win $10,000 in a duel. Now that's like next level tournament, you know, expertise, right? And then the joust is a phenomenal, I can't even stress that enough, phenomenal community builder. Like, it's a phenomenal way. It's like street ball, times 10. Because you get paired up onto a team. All of a sudden now you've got this team that's a big team potentially, 10, 15, 20, 30 people. And now you're networking with everybody. And if you've got a good general, like, we in the Hollywood SC Village one, we had Todd Martinez and we had Matty Marshall. It's like all of a sudden now you're getting to rub elbows with Todd Martinez and learn from him, or you're getting to get wisdom from Matty Marshall. And you might be literally a Division 12 player. And now all of a sudden Matty Marshall's your general. Like, how did that happen? Like, I would have never thought that was a possibility. Right.
Yeah.
So the joust is an excellent way to community build, to team build, to network, to teach, to learn. And then, of course, play paintball in a competitive setting that is actually meaningless, because there's two teams. So one team's going to take first, one team's going to take second. And in the joust, you're literally going to get a full spectrum tournament experience within that 60 minutes. It's amazing. Like, it's literally really revolutionary. And I would love for you guys to come and experience it at the grand finale if you're available. I know, Marcelo, you said you're very busy, but if you come up one day, even if you general or even if you play, it's just an amazing thing that I think once people really truly understand, it can take off. And it is kind of, my mission now to get this thing off the ground. And again, there's not really any incentive in it for me. It's more, let's get people playing. Let's get people united. Let's get people connecting and potentially, bridging gaps, as well as potentially, maybe creating new businesses or within the sport, or potentially making new teams. So it's like, if you don't have a 5-man team and you want to compete in a tournament, well, you could come to a joust. You could get put onto a team. You could network with all these people. If you play good and you've got, you're at that caliber of play, a team goes, hey man, you want to play with us next weekend? We got the WCPPL, we need a guy, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Now I'm on a team. So now you just networked through the joust, and now you just made yourself, available for a tournament team.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think it's just an amazing thing. And like, it's taken me some time to be able to figure it out. And I didn't know if it was going to work. Last time we had this conversation on TTG, it was just pretty much a figment of my imagination, until we got to Ohio and we did it, was their success. And even I remember Miko coming up to me, like, after the first joust and looking at me and going, bro, you really got something here, and like, Miko. Miko's he's a legend in this game, and he's played in the highest. He's won World Cup stuff. He's played on the Russian Legion, and he's really transcended a lot of mastery in the sport. But for him to say that to me, really meant a lot, because all of a sudden now that imagination was actually something tangible.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, Miko has even done great things in the industry outside of playing. So he's a very prominent figure in the game. That was a huge pickup by Hormesis. You guys nailed it with that one.
Yeah. I mean, a big part of the whole Hormesis team in general, it's just like the good people are showing up, and the best artists, the best designers, Kevin, Philip, Pat Spura, like, people are just showing up. You're a part of it. It's like, the beauty of, it's like light attracts light, right? And so we're doing something and people want to be a part of it, and they're like, how can I be a part of it? And again, doing this podcast in general is somewhat a call to action to people out there in the paintball world. If you're a paintball field owner, even if you just want to be a promoter, if you're just a player that wants to play and get better, we all have to do our part. And I believe that this is something that is quite easy to do, and it could potentially amplify your whole paintball community and wherever you're from, and stimulate players' growth and potentially grow paintball. This is, you can't just say grow the sport. That's just too
over that.
Ambiguous.
Yeah.
Right. It's too ambiguous. Grow the sport. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, we have to literally start grassroots. We have to do so many little tiny things to make the sport grow.
Well, you have to put the hashtag before grow the sport, though. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I mean, look, we're even at the point where we're joking around about that, that's what I'm saying is there's a little bit of a flaw in this because we shouldn't be joking around on that. Like we really should be growing the sport, but you can't just say grow the sport. That's not enough. We actually have to do it. We have to scale backwards and we have to figure out what as an individual can I do to help grow the sport because just hashtagging it isn't enough, right?
Hashtagging it and then trying to sell something. That ain't it.
We have to grow the sport and we have to do it. Every single one of us is a part of this, unique tapestry of this sport of paintball. And if we want to get it to where we all know it can be, which we've all known it could be, we have to all do our part,
Agreed. I mean, Oliver, in my opinion, and this is just off the top of my head, I'm sure there's, if I were to put more thought into this, we could have a few more fingers of it, but 3 major components, I think, to growing the sport is we need players that are really inspired to become professional paintball athletes. That is a very huge part of it. That's one.
100%.
Two, we need fields to be incredibly welcoming to new players. So that means that they do have to cater to the birthday parties, the rec parties. They need clean facilities. They need easy access, stuff that's not intimidating, right? And then 3, we need to figure out a way to get outside attention. And maybe that comes latest, right? But those 3 things are just so incredibly important. I think if you get the first 2, the third comes, right? If you really boost
so I actually think that you nailed it with the first thing, right? Because look, to be honest, and I'm not coming at this from a jaded perspective, but I've reached pinnacles of this sport that not many people will ever be able to recreate. And I'm telling you right now, it's not that much. And it's not that meaningful in a sense. It is to me, and maybe to some people on the onlookers of the paintball and the high upper echelon of the paintball community. But ultimately, I'm still just a very little person, we need to create a paintball icon. We need to create the pinnacle of what it means to be a professional player. And how do you do that, right? Like you guys are at the highest point of the game, and I don't know, what you guys have in terms of financial and all these sort of things set up, but we need to make it so it's like really public so that people can see it. Like when you win a Grand Slam, a Wimbledon, you win $54 million. And people know that, like it's there. And it's like, okay, when you're a kid and you want to start playing tennis, you're like, okay, one day I want to play at the US Open. And I think Shorty really, Shorty and I actually have spoke a long time about one-on-ones. And I remember telling him, hey, I got something. And he's like, well, I got something, and he happened to do it with the Pro Tour. And I was a little bit, distant at that moment. So I don't know exactly how it went. It did look great. And I was very stoked for him, and him and I both said a long time ago, probably 10 years ago, we said, we look at paintball as if it was the NFL or as if it was the NBA or if it was the Major League Baseball. And that's amazing. But you have to see how much infrastructure is needed for those things to be able to really be what they are. Like multi millions and millions of dollars, like big. It's huge. And now I'm not saying that paintball can't get there. And I think that the way it's played now currently is potentially the most idyllic version for that style. And let's just say one day somebody built a massive stadium and, it became like that vision. I think that's a possibility, but I do feel like the difference is Shorty and I's vision was to change paintball more into tennis and more make that pinnacle of what it means to be a professional paintball player somewhat more tangible. And the only way you can really do that is individually. And so that's why I believe in the one-on-one, because even now, these kids who we went across the nation, we threw the event, we found the best player in Boston, we found the best player in Jersey, we found the best players in Florida. All these kids, and they're men, some of them are men, they're now somewhat celebrities, within the paintball world overnight. People didn't know who they were. Now they know who they are. Now they're coming to the grand finale. and we're going to give them $10,000 for first place. Have you ever won $10,000 playing paintball?
Not individually.
Not by myself. Yeah.
That's right. So, like, for me, my whole entire paintball career, we'd have to win tournaments, and I'd have to get, I'd get a percentage of whatever that prize was. Sometimes, if it was really good, it was like $2,000. I think when we won the ESPN event, one year was $50,000, and I got $5,000, which I thought I was like retired, right?
Dude, Oliver, do you remember the Valken Cup?
I do
the
not.
Valken Cup, dude. The one where Impact showed up and we won 25 grand. We played in the rec ball, we played pump, we played airball, and then it came down to the final battle between us and Impact on that house field. You remember?
Oh,
at Camp Pendleton.
it was at Camp Pendleton. Yeah, okay, I remember that. Yeah.
Dude,
yeah, I remember that.
We won 25 grand there for the team, but that was one of the funniest and most fun events I've ever played in my life. Do you remember the shenanigans? It was crazy.
I do. There's I do. I remember playing that field. It was a really hard field, that house field.
Dude, hilarious.
But the point is like I want to give, like, I used to be the one. This changed recently, it was a big breakthrough for me, and I'll share it with you. Is I used to be the one that wanted to get paid to play paintball. Yeah. And that was my life mission. And then I kind of got that, right? Now my life mission is to be the guy who pays the guys to play paintball. That's my new life mission. And I want to eventually be able to have these things where you guys can come as pros, invite, and whether you want to or not, it's up to you. And I'll put up, 50 grand, maybe in the future, 100 grand, maybe 200 grand, maybe even one day, maybe $1 million. I don't know, and you can win that. Like, if you win that, you can actually really are now standing at that precipice of the pinnacle of what it means to be a professional paintball player, and there's something cool about being a professional paintball player, and you can make that money playing professional paintball on a single one-on-one version level, right? And then as a player, you'll have to decide where you're going to pick and choose your energy to put, because let's just say you make 20 grand playing on a pro team, and it costs you, a full season, and it costs you all those practices, and it costs you all that time, and but you only make 20 grand or 30 grand or 40 grand or 50 grand, but then potentially you could come and play one event here and win 50 grand. Like, all of a sudden now that changes the whole scope of the game as an individual. And again, once that's there and that's in place, Marcelo, the next 2-3 things that you said will add up, right? Now, fields will say you can. That barrier to entry, the moms show up. Moms don't want your kid to play paintball. They want them to go play golf or, tennis or something where you can make some money, right? Oh, you want to pursue a sport? Well, pursue a sport where you can potentially make a lot of money. Paintball, you can't make anything, is what they're saying, So we need to change that and say, look, you can win 200 grand when you play the duel and take first place at one event. And now we have 4 of those events or 5 of those events a year, all over the world. Now all of a sudden that 200 grand turns into, 800 grand or $1 million if you win them all, right? So anyways, the point is that it creates a possibility for that pinnacle of professionalism. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done in the other version. It's just going to be much harder and much more complex, and it would have to be a lot more money, right? So for you to make 200 grand winning a tournament with your 5-man team, all of a sudden that's $1 million prize, which is it's not possible. It's possible. It's just a little bit probably further along.
No, you have a very strong passion for this, and I'm telling you, Oliver, the only way that paintball will be respected by, like the moms and the dads and the grandmas and the grandpas, of course they respect it because they go and they're having fun and competing and winning trophies and prizes, and they do win cash and a lot of amazing prizes right now. But when you have life-changing circumstances, obviously that changes the playing field. What is your vision on being able to make that a reality? How would that even become come to fruition? Would it through pay-per-view? That's the only thing I could think is if you had these big like fight nights or something like that, and then you had pay-per-view and had a really big prize, just like we see with UFC and stuff like that. Is that kind of the route?
For sure. Like, so, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get ahead of myself by saying this, but like pretty much everything we've been doing now is teaching us how to film it, teaching us how to organize it, teaching us how to do it so that we can do it on a professional level, you know? And let's just say when we do that, you are now going to be able to play. You definitely, both of you guys will be invited. Yeah. Shall you choose to accept? And at that moment, you will go in and you will face off against the other greatest, 8 or 16 pros out there. And literally, we're going to make that pay-per-view. Yes. And you will make money off of that, and you will be incentivized to come and play it because potentially that pay-per-view could be making you a lot of money, right? And not to mention the win factor, right? Not to mention the potential outside endorsement that could come from that when you are now the best, right? One-on-one player. Like, I mean, dude, these big brands, like, they spend so much money. They have to spend so much money, like Red Bull and such. They make so much money that they have to spend millions and millions of dollars, So for them to come in, it wouldn't be that much. It wouldn't be that difficult, But again, if you don't have you have notoriety in your team, so to say, and within the industry, but nobody really, if Red Bull is to come in and say, okay, well, who do I sponsor? Who's the best guy? Right? Okay. Well, Damage won 2, and this guy won he's pretty good, but Dynasty just won 2, but Marcelo's pretty good, but Ryan's really good, and and Tyler Harmon's probably one of the best guys on Heat, but actually I don't know, maybe it's Fedorov. Like Red Bull's gonna go, well, who the fuck do I pay? Like we don't know. Okay, well I'm just not gonna we're not gonna enter, right? So the thing is if you came to this thing and you won it. Not to mention you'd win the prize, you'd make the money on the possibility of the pay-per-view, but then it'd be easy to say, hey, sponsor me. Look, I won this thing, You could probably get more in sponsorship dollars directly from even a Planet Eclipse or Lux or something might say, look, I'll just sponsor you. Here's 10 grand, or here's 50 grand or whatever it is, right? Why am I going to go sponsor this team for 250 grand, Like it's more valuable. One single person is more valuable than a full team. I mean, not all teams. There's some teams that are very valuable, but for the most part, there's the individuals. And I remember Dave telling me that. He was like, yeah, you were the most valuable on Dynasty, and I could take you, and I could pay you a fraction of what I was going to pay them, and you make more money, and I get more value out of you. And I was like, well, that's pretty good business, actually.
Yeah. And, Oliver, I think you're spot on with sponsoring players. And that's been a huge reason why even just statistics in the sport are so important, because that would be an easy way if we had legitimate statistics to follow, right? And in one-on-one, it's very easy to keep those statistics. There's wins and losses. It's very apparent. It's really easy to.
No, we have a full, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a Hormesis Elite one-on-one app. Yeah, you can download it now. It's free. Hormesis Elite one-on-one app. Download it. Anybody listening, it's free. Just take it. And you can start playing right now at your field, and you can start getting statistics. And there's a whole gambit of statistics on there. It's much more than I won and you lost. So it's like we're actually creating now a statistical chart to track and to gauge who the best players are. And so if you go on there now and you look at it, Todd Boyer is number 1. The only reason he's number 1 is because he played actually 2 duels, right? So he's got a lot of dual time, so he had 4 dual matches in the prelim, in the first round in Florida. He didn't win. He took second place. He came to LA. He played another 4, and then he ended up winning. So his statistics high, and it tracks everything. It tracks how many aces you got, how many trades you got, how many no points you got. Potentially in the future, it could track, average time of points. There's a bunkering statistic. It's really based on points played and matches played. So the idea with that behind that is it's not about winning or losing, so to say. It's more about how much am I playing, right?
Got it. Yeah. No, I love that. I didn't know there was an app that was available yet. I knew you guys had been working on one, but yeah.
Yeah, you hooked me up with Delamore.
Yeah. Shout out to Nick. So it's
it's up there. So anybody who wants it.
And what's it called again? Elite 1v1?
Hormesis Elite. Yeah, just put that in there. It'll pop up. Yeah. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about these heroes. Yeah.
Yes,
and
please.
Because, like the one thing I really liked, well, it was amazing because you're like, oh, my boy Bushby, and
Mm-hmm.
and he was literally the first hero that I saw the whole entire tour.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up, the day before with his dad and was super cool. Was like, hey man, you mind if we walk the field? And I'm like, yeah, like of course, to be my guest, that's why it's there. Nobody else showed up, right? He showed up, walked the field there, and there's something special about him, and I was like, wow, this kid's really cool. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to play the joust. I'm like, great. He's like, I'm going to play the duel. I'm like, amazing. And ended up winning, right? And I remember we chatted a little bit about that. He's like, how my boy Bushby do? And I'm like, dude, he won. The thing that I want to share about that is like, he was supported by his dad,
Mm-hmm.
His dad came out, funded him, brought him out there, and literally, coached him and pitted for him also, So there's this new dynamic that like breeds another level of connection and commitment and, again, unity, like I saw people who were, their sister was pitting for them, their brother was pitting for them, their mom and their dad, their best friend. Now, as a ex-retired player, kind of like in the future, I could be somebody like that for somebody, which could essentially invigorate my whole lust for the game, right? So let's just say I really like you, Tyler, and I really believe in your skills, and I really admire the way that you treat the game and the way you see the sport. Hey, I'd like to fund you. I'd like to send you to the Invitational. I'd like to pay you $1,000, and I'll pay your whole way, your airfare. Again, now to send one person is much cheaper than to send a whole team, right? So, it's $200, $300 for a ticket from Arizona to California. One hotel room for 4 nights instead of 20 hotel rooms, for a full team. Much cheaper. One rental car instead of like 3 rental cars or 2 rental cars. One mouth to feed instead of 10 every night for 5 nights, right? So you can see how exponentially inexpensive this is compared to the other version, right? Now I can say, Tyler, okay, bam, here's your money. Let me fund you. Go out there. Hey, look, and if you win, you give me half, right? So now you just take down a $20,000 first place. You're my horse, just like, horse betting. Maybe that's not even the deal. Maybe I just say you keep the whole money. I just want to fund you because I'm rich and I like you and I want you to have success in the sport. So the point
50-50.
I'm making from that is like now there's a whole new dynamic of individual that can enter and support also. And it's much cheaper for me. And it's much more presentable to be able to do this. So like when I saw Cameron's dad, like his dad could be financing him and supporting him in his trajectory of success. And if he wins this $10,000, it's a good investment for him. Right. Mm-hmm. So the point is that there's a whole new element of support. It's not the outside sponsors. It's now there's an individual guy, just like you have Randy and there's, Bart or these guys who spend a lot of money for their team. Like I could be that guy for a guy like Bushby or for another pro, right? And it wouldn't cost me that much. And it brings me into the involvement of the game, Maybe I can't play anymore, but I want to be involved. This gives me an opportunity to involve myself by sponsoring and forking out the money, which wouldn't even be that much, or to send one of you guys to one of these events to potentially win it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you created so many heroes on your journey across the country. It was really fun to watch these heroes develop and these personalities develop. And we're definitely excited to see who's going to take that $10,000 out there in Cali coming up next month.
Yeah, Oliver, that was one of my questions. I'm very curious who the best player you've seen so far on the tour is.
Yeah, that's a good question, and you're right, Tyler. It was really cool to see how it evolved. And Bushby was an interesting character because he flew in to Ohio, and I don't know if that was tactical or what. Maybe he, thought that, because there is different regions of the world that are a little bit more robust in the game, and some are a little bit less, and that's just the nature of it, which can change. But the point is like Bushby came in to Ohio. Is the first one. He was like, I'm going to go win this thing. And I think that was a very smart tactical, concept for him, because if he would have gone to Florida, if he would have gone to Boston, if he would have gone to, New Jersey, it's like there's bigger dogs there. Right. So he was smart. He came to Ohio. He was brilliant. I love Bushby. He's probably one of my new favorite players in the game all around. And I'm excited to watch him grow. I love the way he plays. He plays very smooth. He's so nice. He's so talented. He's so gracious. Like, there was moments where I was watching him and he got like a super bad call one point. Like he had a bad finger and he was wearing a piece of tape on his finger. And because it was like, throughout the weekend, it started to look yellow. Right. And it was like off the break. And the ref's like, out. And he's like, where? And then he's like, your finger. And then he like looked at his finger and he just sees the tape, which he's been playing with it all weekend. Yeah. So it was like, I don't know how the ref didn't, notice that. And he just said, okay, cool. Like, he didn't explode. He did it. Like, I couldn't have done that. I would have been like, you fucking idiot. That's a fucking tape, It's like he was so centered. He was such a gentleman. He was so gracious. Everything was a thank you, and so he's one of my favorites, and I like the way he plays. Like I said, he's very fluid, and it's gonna depend on who he matches up against. And so he matches up against Frankie, who was the New Jersey winner, and Frankie is a beast. Actually, Frankie really reminds me of you, Tyler. He's like wiry, he's fast, he's quick, he's over the top, he's down low, he's brutal, dude. He's definitely my favorite to watch because he's so aggressive and so like in your face, and he's just like, he's that character, he's got your energy, Tyler, and he's amazing. He was really nice too. I didn't get to really meet him so much, I didn't have so much interaction with him, but what I saw from him was just, he's a straight competitor. And the thing is him and Bushby match up, and I will say that that's probably not the matchup that Bushby wanted, to be honest, because I feel like if anybody can beat Bushby, he might be that guy. But in retrospect, the way that he could probably beat a lot of guys, but the way that Bushby plays against him, he might be able to undertake him. So that'll be a good match. And again, it's kind of based on the matchup and the way that we're doing it for the grand finale, because I didn't want to do a round robin and have it go down to like point differential and So I just said, okay, it's straight best out of 3 duels to get out of the first round. So Frankie's and Cameron are going to have to play best out of 3 just to get out of the first round. So they'll get a lot of paintball. They're not going to play everybody, clearly, but, it's going to be intense, right? So that's actually the first matchup. The second matchup is, I don't know if I'm going in order, but it's the kid from, it's Jacob from Texas and Smitty from Florida. Now, like, to be honest, Tyler, I think that this kid from Texas is probably the best. Yeah.
He's nasty. I know who you're talking about.
Super talented. He's super
Yeah.
talented. He plays a lot. You know, he's definitely a phenom, you know?
Mhm.
But with that being said, like, I watched Smitty play in Florida, and he was so unconventional in the way that he played. He was so smart. He was so tactful. Like, he was so sharp. He was so on point that, again, I think Smitty can beat him. Yeah. So it's part of the matchup, you know? And again, it's going to go to best 3 matches. So it's going to be freaking intense, you know? Like, but
Can I just say one thing right now?
Yeah.
I just got to say, I like watching all different types of sports, mixed martial arts included, and different fighting, you know, boxing, UFC. This just reminds me of, like, it's fight night, you know, where's Buffer at to be like, you know, let's get ready to rumble. And then they just go at it, you know? So I really like the drum up as well. And we have that with team paintball, and I love that as well. It's just a very unique thing when it's just one versus one, as opposed to, like, you know, a complete organization versus a complete organization. So I really appreciate the fight night drum up that we've got going on right now.
Yeah, me too.
Totally. And I think you're right. The whole archetype of the team is amazing. Like, when Go Sports does those pre-event videos about Dynasty, about Heat, it's like, wow, it gets my juices, you know, it just gets my blood boiling, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like amazing, you know? But then you're right. It's like, you know, to be honest, there's characters on the team that you like, there's characters you don't know, and there's characters that you don't like, you know? So it's hard to choose, right? And then, you know, it comes kind of comes down to, you know, who you followed for a long time ultimately. But with this, it's all brand new, you know? So that's also what's cool about it, is like, nobody really knows these guys. Do I like them? Do I not like them? You know, it's like they just know who they like, right? And so it's cool to see who people are rooting for and who people are showing up for, you know. And I'm excited to see who these guys bring, you know, and who they ask for their coaching staff and their pitting staff, because that's all a big part of it now. Todd Boyer was very elite. You know, he had Joey Blute and he had Swaggy coaching for him and pitting for him in Florida. And then in LA, he had Mike Hinman and Todd Martinez. I'm like,
damn.
Oh, you're ahead of the curve, you know? So with that next match, I think it's there's Avery and Travis Newsom. And I think you know Avery, Marcelo.
Yep. He played on the Vegas team.
Yeah. And he's a good kid. And what I like about Avery is he's young and he's spry and he's eager and he's determined. And he's also kind of the underdog, I think, because, you know, he's relatively new and not a lot of people know him so well.
Right.
So people are like, you know, kind of not giving him probably the credit that he deserves. So that'll be it'll be interesting to watch him show up. And he played when we had to play in Arizona. We played until 1:30 a.m. because it was so freaking hot. You know that, Tyler? Yeah.
What?
So these guys were battling at the dead of night, you know?
It's brutal. I love seeing those photos. Avery's great. And actually, I think this format's really good for him because he is a newer player. So decision-making in 5-on-5s, he still has a little bit to go, but his fundamentals are really good because he puts in a ton of work. He is always at the field drilling. So his fundamentals are excellent.
Yeah, so that's what I love too about you guys, because you guys know some of these guys, and some of these guys will be, you know, discovered. It was also kind of my initiative, right? I want to build the players, right? So now these 8 guys are going to be, they're more in the forefront, you know. So you guys are going to start looking at them. You know, maybe Heat goes, let's pick him up next year. You know, so that was kind of the idea being able to foster these guys. Now,
Oliver, to your point, Level tried to pick up Cameron after that very first one-on-one tour. They reached out to him. So like
amazing.
That already came to fruition, which is an amazing thing, right? Cameron is very happy with the team he's on now and wants to progress through that. So he respectfully declined. But again, the opportunity presented itself because of going to your event.
Totally. I didn't know that. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
you know?
Certainly.
Yeah, and that's the trajectory that these guys will have to eventually, come to terms with, as you guys did and as I did. For me, and I feel like, again, the pinnacle of paintball, we need to create that. But for me, the pinnacle of paintball was playing on the Ironman, right, as a young kid, right. And I'm sure you can agree with me on that one, Marcelo.
Yeah.
That was like, you made it, right? And so now I feel like, yeah, maybe if you get on Heat or Dynasty or Impact, maybe something similar. But, the difference is that I don't think a lot of younger generations just want to go pro and play on it. They have the team that they want to play on, or they're going to try to do it with their own team, which is a hard battle,
So hard.
to do it on your own, to do it with your own team. But it's possible, But the point is that, these guys will be getting looks, and already Cameron got a look, and, the point that they'll have to choose whether they want to go or not, and that's pretty amazing already,
Certainly. Yeah.
Dude, Oliver.
So, but then, yeah.
You could even turn this into like neon future one-on-one battles. HK Army just dropped neon paintballs. They've got glow in the dark, the whole futuristic vibe. You could be playing at 1 a.m.
Totally.
at nighttime with like, this whole neon future style too.
Totally. I mean, yeah, I love that. And there's so much possibility in this. Like, I've already gone down the wormhole and I've taken all the notes, but like, you can do joust. We could do like themed joust, where we could do like, you could do the Bloods and the Crips, where everybody's out there and they're, and it's like, but it's not real, right? You could do, you could do like, all of it could be themed. So the duel could be themed. Yeah, you could be like a futuristic nightball duel, right? It could be, the duel could be women, a duel. It could be a over 50-year-old duel. It could be a kids duel. It could be there's so much possibility of potential within the duel, and I have a bigger vision of that we can have another discussion about in the future of, how to do, how we can take this to another level of business in terms of shaping the sport, this way. But so let me just continue on with the heroes, and then we'll kind of go into more of the details on the joust and duels. But so Avery plays Travis Newsom, and Travis is an OG, dude. Like, to be honest, where the best joust and duel was in the U.S.? Can you guys guess?
Let's see. Arizona. Let's go, AZ.
Well, Alabama, believe it or not. Yeah,
wow.
We couldn't have expected that. There was 80 people for the joust. Yeah, 80 people for the joust. It was insane. Like, we had a ruckus joust, and and I don't know why Alabama was so potent, but the only reason I could think of is because, it's kind of a little bit of a rural location, and the field was exquisite. The Prime paintball, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like the grass is like magical,
Prime,
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the family that runs it, and Mikey, they're just such a beautiful paintball family, and they really hosted us well, and they did an excellent job of reaching out into the surrounding area. So they called Georgia, they called Tennessee, they called Florida, they called Louisiana. Right. And they said, hey, look, there's a duel. You guys got to send somebody up here to represent. And like, maybe because that area doesn't get so many events, everybody called to action, was like, yeah, I'm coming, And so, like, I think your boy was there. What's his name? Marcelo, the kid, Whitberry?
Will Newberry.
Will Newberry. Oh, and I was like, and everybody's like, yeah, this kid's going to win. It was so fun to watch him. Again, his dad came to support him. But Travis Newsom came out of North Florida. He didn't play the joust, so I didn't get to really see him. I didn't really get to know him. There's always an edge when you get to play the joust before, because clearly you get to play the field. But, he had work or something. But he showed up, and literally, I didn't even track him as a potential winner. Because there were so many good guys. Colin Cherry was there, Will Newberry, there was these kids from Louisiana. Like there was good. They had the best players. Like really, it was amazing. It was like anybody in the duel that signed up there, they could have won it. And so Travis came in, and he was just a sleeper, man. Like he played Will Newberry, and this is where I first saw him, like, and started tracking him. And Newberry was playing awesome, but he had this like glowy white hair, and it was sticking out of the bunker a little bit. And Newsom would just like shoot it, and like literally shot him there like 3 or 4 or 5 times, and just totally scrambled his brain to the point where he had to go put a beanie on, right? And and I was watching Travis going, man, this guy's like, he's a vet. Like this guy is like, he was pulling out all the vet tricks. He was super calm. He was super cool. Once he played Newberry to go into the finals, usually so you'll have to play a lot of points, right? And the way that it breaks down is, two guys will play, and then one of those guys will have to go play in the finals immediately, right? But there's one guy already waiting in the finals, right? So that's just kind of how it breaks down. And usually they're so tired from the duel that I go up to them and say, how much time do you need? Right. And some of them are like, give me 30 minutes, I need an hour, right? Because they're just exhausted, right? Travis is like, yeah, just give me 5 minutes. I'm like, whoa, you're a dog, like you just played and you just, brought it to that point, and now you're ready to go back out there. You don't even want 10-minute break. Like, okay. And anyways, at that moment, I was like, this guy's really good. But he's a vet. He's like, again, the other cool aspect about this is not only discovering new people, but actually giving credit to the guys who have been around for a long time. So he's been around for a long time, but kind of undiscovered and unknown, and, almost on his way out in a sense. He's probably almost 40 years old, right? So now all of a sudden he just got a fresh wind winning this. And, he's a big contender, I would say, going into the grand finale to win this. And he's got to play Avery.
It's going to be a showdown.
Yeah, 100%. And will this all be broadcasted live? Do you have the setup for it?
So what we're going to do is we're not going to do a live on this one. We're going to hire professional videographers, and they're going to come and film everything. And then we're going to go back into the studio later and piece it together and make it really good, and then probably release it on our YouTube. Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
Again,
go ahead.
Again, the idea is to learn how to do this professionally for when you guys play it, in the future. Right. So we don't want to live it and it not be good. And we don't want to spend that much money on it currently, because we don't really know how it's going to look and what it's going to be like. So this is really the test, the heroes this coming weekend. We're going to get the angles, get the cameras, how many cameras we need, how many drones do we need, and then be able to edit it and put it up and release a good quality product. And again, for free, and then as we prepare to move on into the future, then we'll know what we need to do if we have a live for the pro element of it.
Amazing. Ollie, what's something you watched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 1v1s? What is something that you learned or picked up from watching all of this 1v1 paintball?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And it's you guys already know it, but it's really to have that, it's really to be centered and professional and to not let your emotions run you, the guys, like, so for instance, again, that Newberry point, like, to be honest, Newberry was more skilled, in a sense, but Travis was so professional in a sense and so centered and didn't let his emotions get to him, and Will let his emotions get to him and just got frazzled and lost, right? And so you got it, you're going to get punched, you're going to get some teeth knocked out, you're going to be tired. It's going to be rainy and muddy and ugly, and paint's going to break, and you're tired, and it's a long weekend, and you've just put, 3 weekends in a row into this thing, and you're down by 1 point and there's 30 seconds left, and he comes through and takes it down. And it's like being able to just take everything that's out there and bundle it all together and then do your best, even in those worst, craziest, hardest, most difficult moments. That's really what makes you an exceptionally good paintball player. And you see it in the one-on-one. The guys who can get emotionally distraught, they lose. Simple as that. That was what happened to Todd Boyer in Florida. And Todd Boyer he's an amazing paintball icon right now. I will say I've been watching him since I started being able to track him since he came to Florida. Like, he's become one of my favorite people. He's got a heart of gold. He's really trying all he can do for the sport. He's really, nipping at the heels of professionalism, and, he's taking it very serious. He runs his own field and he really gets it. He's really, really, to be honest, at the tip of the spear for the new generation of paintball players.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really admire him for that. But I watched him play against Smitty in Florida, and he just, his emotions got to him, and he just, started to freak out and panic, and not play his game and run into Smitty's gun. And Smitty, I don't know if you know him and how he plays, but he does this. I mean, he's insane. He one balls people. Like, he literally just like pops out and one balls you, like his snapshot is so on point. He told me that he snap shoots every morning at 8 a.m. when he wakes up. It's like, people do yoga. He goes outside and snap shoots.
Damn. I wish I could do that. I need to
and
move
then I
to,
asked him, I asked him, I said, what are you going to do with this $10,000 if you win it? He says, I'll probably buy a case of paint and just snap shoot in my backyard. I mean, I'll buy a pallet of paint.
What a legend.
but the point with that, to answer your question, Tyler, is that it's to have that confidence, and to have that will, and to know that you can still win, and to not become a little baby, and let it go because of your egoic emotions, And then the cool thing with Todd is he buckled up, he lost, he cried, and he went home and he, went back to the drawing board. He got a sparring partner, Clayton, one of the guys on his team. And he said he just sat there and ran duels, hundreds of duels. He said he's played over 200 duels, points. And he came out to SC Village, which was, I'm not going to lie. I was very disappointed in SC Village in the Southern California paintball play. I thought Southern California was just going to be this mecca, right? Because that's where I'm from. And that's, we used to play there. And SC Village was the apex of fields, and it's still an amazing field. But I don't know what happened, man. Like, the level of play was very diminished in Southern California. And, I think beyond Dynasty, I don't even think there's another semi-pro team from Southern California, at this point. So anyways, the point is that I was able to actually peek into every location and see what they got going on there, and see what their talent pool was like, see what, the fields were like, how the field operators were catering to their players, what's the reciprocity that's going on there. And, what are the feeder systems that are aiding to the growth of players? And, kind of your second point, Marcelo, your third point is, getting those rec players and getting those field owners and getting those, even referees, people like, engaged in the fostering process. Right. So I don't know what happened, but Southern California was pretty sad in terms of play. I think that the two guys that made the finals, well, Todd Boyer came and he won, and he's not from Southern California, right? So in a way, I'd be pissed if I was from Southern California and the guy from Kansas City came and just beat my ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, it's so weird that Southern California is like that. Even like back when PSP would come to Southern California, it would be the worst turnout as far as teams go. For some reason, like, the California players don't show up. I think they're like so married to Mike's league, because I see good players. There's good players in Mike's league for sure that are from the region, from this area. So it's such a strange thing. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know what it is, but they don't show up to much else. It is very strange.
Yeah, I mean, Mike's got an amazing league, and it was great because Mike was there and he loved it. And, he loved it because he saw that it was something new and exciting and engaging. He was able to, coach Todd. And, I think it's perfect for a guy like Mike because it's just one person he's got to handle, right? And, he's an amazing coach. And I love what he's doing. I don't know so much about the WC, but supposedly it's a massive event, and there's over 150 teams or 200 teams or something like that. So there's a lot of players. You're right. The question is what are they doing and where are they, and
Totally.
what's going on, right? Again, the whole key point to this conversation is we need to unify and we need to act. And yes, you need to support your local leagues, like the WC and the MVPS and whatever else is going on around you, but you also need to, diversify and do other things and, get more dynamic and get more involved in whatever it is. I feel like at this point, you guys shouldn't even be teaching clinics anymore. You should move above and beyond to the next thing, teaching teams, kind of like what you're doing, Marcelo, and coaching these guys. And there should be a whole nother genre, a generation of guys that are just doing, snap shooting drills, right?
Agreed.
And teaching you those basic things. There should be a guy there every weekend at SC Village teaching that, like a field pro, or like not a field pro,
but like
you
said it perfectly. It's like a golf pro, like a golf pro. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, like a maybe a paintball pro or a field pro. I mean, that sounds.
Well, he doesn't have to be pro.
Correct.
He doesn't have to have had played in a pro thing, but he can still have the understanding on how to, teach the basics, right? And it's like if you go to the golf course, the guy might not have played in the PGA, but he knows how to teach you how to hit the ball, right?
Totally. Mm-hmm. And I do believe they're still called like the golf pros. And
I think
they get some sort of certification, which, I mean, setting up that kind of infrastructure would be amazing. That ties back into inspiring players to play, right? Like if you have somebody at the local field that can teach you how to get better, you're going to be excited to go play. You're going to be excited to go learn, Exactly. So my vision for this thing in the next 10 years is to have elite one-on-one fields just set up, like whether they're involved in other fields or not, I don't know. Some fields might adopt them, but like, for instance, I just got an inquiry with Dave from New Zealand, and he wants me to go out there and build him an elite one-on-one field. Awesome.
And, so my vision with this is in the future is like you show up, there's now a location that doesn't have to be that large because, again, it's a much smaller field. And it's kind of like a paddle ball or pickleball. I think we spoke about that the last one. Mm-hmm. And you show up and you play. It's open from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. and you book in for hours of the day. And you show up and you do your drills or you play your opponent. And there's a field pro that's available for lessons, and you have 3 fields. You have one that's a reball. You have one that's paintball. You have one that's, maybe only for lessons, right? And the barrier to entry is easy. Give them a good gun, give them a good goggle. They play some one-on-ones, with reball. It's inexpensive. It's clean. It's cheap. They're out of there in an hour and they're exhausted and they're engaged. And then they say, okay, I want to go play the paintball next weekend. Right. Then they go to the other fields and they do, it go on, so on and so forth. But then you could have a pro there, you could have a guy. Even the other day, I was watching the Instagram here in Bali. There's a paintball field that I helped build. I helped organize them a little bit down in Canggu. And I saw they hired this Indonesian guy. And like, dude, this guy's never played tournament paintball ever. Never, like he was teaching everybody how to hold the gun, how to run with the gun, how to walk, how to do this. And he was good. He was genuinely good. And I just saw it on their Instagram, And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, instead of just having a referee that just, calls people out at the field, like you need to have field pros who are actually teaching you how the technique and how to crawl and how to run and how to start, and here's the proper method. And, this is how you load. Like you said, Marcelo, then people are excited to learn and excited to come back and play. And I feel like the most important people in the sport are not pros. It's not me. It's not you. I mean, we're doing a lot for it, but it's that referee that the field has harbored and the field has paid well, so that this guy can have the best time ever, so that you keep coming back.
Totally.
And maybe that's the field pro. But like when I was a kid, that was Angel. Like when I go to the paintball, when I went to Mare Island, that was Angel. And what was he? He was the field pro. He wasn't called that. We called him the referee. He'd never played pro, but he was like, "Hey kid, this is a gun. Yeah, you want to use it? You shoot it like this." And I'm like, "Yeah, whoa, cool."
Totally.
And he paved that way for me to get more interested. And then it expanded. And I was one day that person also. When I was a referee at the field. So those are the most important people, I think, in the game. And maybe that's something that we could even build, is some sort of paintball pro, curriculum where every field sends them to play the game, and we create something. You could even do it online, and people could, SC Village could send 10 of the referees, and it costs $100, and we have a conversation with them for 4 weeks, and bam, all of a sudden now they can go and be that person at their field. That's an amazing idea.
Yeah, and everybody out there listening, what Oliver's trying to say is we got to take responsibility and be the ones nurturing the game. Every weekend being out there helping in any way that we possibly can, because those moments are the lasting ones. Obviously we've been playing professionally for a long time. We put on a great show for Go Sports, and we train our butts off to be the best competitive paintball players that we can. But the most important moments are the ones that we might think aren't the most important. It's that moment where you have that genuine connection and help a new player, or give someone a random tip just out of the kindness of your heart, just doing things from your heart, helping people be better at this game. That's what we all can do every weekend at any paintball park at any time. So we got to really put that at the forefront, and then just keep building together, man. We can't wait to see your projects just keep coming to life, Ollie. You're doing amazing work, and we're excited to watch who's going to be the champ, next month for the 10 grand.
Yeah, me too, man. And so I love what you said, and you're right, Tyler. Everybody's got to start playing their part, and we can't play small anymore, if we really want to get this sport big. So like every little initiative you can do is important. Start your Instagram channel, start your YouTube channel, like whatever it is, start your brand.
Start it.
Start your online coaching program. Like we need to boom this sport. Like us three, we can't just do it. Like I need everybody's help, and that's kind of my overwhelming issue at the moment. Is I don't really know how to ask for help that much. I'm always somebody that can help, and I can give help, and I can do everything for myself, and I can. I'm very self-sufficient and self-reliant. And after this, I was like so overwhelmed by the amount of help that I got from my team in this tour. Like Trucker Billy was an absolute saint. Like showed up so freaking hard. And was on point. Kevin, Miko, Alex. All the generals that showed up. All the pros that showed up. Harrison jumped on board at one point. Like I was like, whoa, man, I'm getting help, and even just having this conversation with you guys on this podcast, this is a huge help, because this is a place where I can ask for help and people can listen, and I need help, I need you to start playing a lot of paintball. I need you to start getting better. If you're a field owner, if you're a referee, if you're somebody who wants to promote these things, like start doing it. Build the field. It's 80 feet by 40 feet. It's so simple to build. You need 16 bunkers. I sent you the graphic, Marcelo, where the location of the bunkers go.
Let's bring that.
I don't know if you want to put that up. And you can maybe even put a graphic up of the field, the built field with the tent, and literally download the app and start tracking yourself. Start playing. Start dueling. if you want to get more heavily invested in it, propose to your field, or if you're a field owner, run a joust, make money on it. I'm not asking for anything. So if you're looking at this graphic now, 40 feet by 80 feet long. Okay. Now there's an alleyway down the center of the field, right? And that's like, the idea of the duel. So two people are staring there, like literally looking at each other. Now the only error with this image is that it says the start box is in the field. The start box is not in the field. It's actually on the outside of the field. That's the only error. So if you want to build one of these fields, this is the location of the bunkers. And those grids are 5 feet. And it's very simple to build. I could build one of these by myself in about an hour and a half. With a little bit of help, 45 minutes, an hour, super basic. I sent you one of the hay bales. So if you want to put that graphic up of the hay bales, the point with that is that if you don't have an airball field, you can still build it. You can still put the bunkers in that location. Do you have that graphic, Marcel?
Yep. Pulling it up. 1 second.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you got, just
so
put it in the spots and play.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah. I think I sent them to March. So the idea with this, guys, is that like you can see that it's just in the same location, right? And if you put up another, there's another graphic with the bunkers. Maybe you want to put that one up.
Yeah, and everybody head over to the YouTube and you can see these different graphics that we're displaying for all of you over there. Yeah, that's profound.
YouTube.
Man. There we go. YouTube.
PTG, baby. You guys are the future.
This one looks so good. This looks like the future. I mean, this just looks so clean with the nets around, with the sponsor label. I like that you chose Coca-Cola. I know you like to enjoy a nice cold Coca-Cola out of the glass every once in a while. It's beautiful. Dude. This looks amazing.
Yeah. So this one's actually my fault. This one is actually a 14 bunker version. So you could do 14, you could do 16. But the idea is that the bunkers are always in the same location. And I personally, this is just my opinion. You can argue it if you like. I don't like the big bunkers. I don't like the big walls. I don't like all this stuff where you can't see anything. I like it to be clean and understandable and be able to be very coherent when I'm playing. I want to know where the guy is. So I found that the best bunkers are the temples, the small Doritos, the cakes, and the other cakes, the large cakes. And the point is that it's clean. It's easy to snap shoot from them. It's not complex. And once you get that down, then you can move into the more complex, bigger bunkers. Yeah. But ideally, if you're going to build these fields, use smaller bunkers and make it so it's coherent, so you can snap shoot, so you can't, so it's not like a mess, and you can see down the pipes. That's all I'm trying to advocate. Yeah. Maybe throw up the field from, I think it's Boston.
Yep.
I sent you. And they turned out really good. They look really clean. I think when you do this, you could run maybe 3 of these fields on just a normal size field. Like a regular X-ball field. So you can see this. This is the way we set it up. This is Boston.
Looks amazing.
Boston's your second home, right, Marcelo?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been to this field a ton. Shout out to Anthony and Lori. This field is phenomenal.
Anthony's doing lots of good things.
Yeah,
Anthony's doing really good things. Yeah, and so what we did here, it's quite simple. If you look at this, again, there's the grid. We put a little scrim net around it to make it look cool. There's 3 tents. This is an ideal function. You don't need 3 tents. You could do it with 2 tents. You could even do it with 1 tent. But the point is that we just put netting on these tents there so people can actually be in there safe with no goggles on. And that's like, where you're pitting. And then there's 1 tent that's an open tent. And that's where the general sits, or that's where the coach sits. So, and he's got to wear goggles. So, he will get shot. And anybody who's participating in the joust that's in there, you're kind of part of the game, Also with this, you only need a few referees, and bam, you've got a freaking setup field, In the future, we're going to look to making these like packages and these bundles so you can buy this and you can set this up. Right now, we just ordered them from Sup Air and then we created everything. easily done yourself as well. You can call stuff air and buy 16 temples and bam, you've got a field, right? It's also much cheaper to do that than to buy a full airball field currently, right? Any other pictures I send you?
Yeah, you did send one of the king. Let's get the king up there.
Oh, the king.
The king deserves some shine.
The king is the king. He really.
This was my favorite part of the whole tour.
He was like perfect. I'll tell you the story with this.
Perfect.
I'll tell you the story with this. Like, so we had this idea, right? Because so there's a little bit of actual, believe it or not, psychological male development involved in this, especially in paintball in general. The whole concept about being a warrior, about going to battle, right? So in the joust, what we've done is really cool. We've made two teams, the Magnificent, Glorious, both amazing teams, right? And the idea is that you're playing for the king. There's not really anything going on in the joust in terms of being able to win. Yes, you will win, and it does feel good, but it's not like you win anything, right? The whole idea with the joust is this education to be able to learn how to play the duel. It's that simple, right? So in the joust, you can crowd participation is allowed, right? So the point is as you guys already have done this for many years, you know how to play tournament paintball. You understand the clock, you understand the parameters, you understand, you understand everything. So many people don't understand this stuff, right? So in the joust, you're able to talk. The crowd's able to talk. So yes, you're going to get a little bit of negative chatter every once in a while, but a lot of the time it's going to be your team telling you what to do so that you do it. Don't go out of bounds. Hit the buzzer. All these types of things that like get out of whack when you've never done it before, and you're literally playing in a tournament. You do a lot of errored things. It's weird. Like I watch it happen so many times where the guy would shoot the guy and then he'd step out of bounds and just like, not hit the buzzer. And I'm like, bro, you got to learn how to play tournament paintball. When you shoot the guy, you hit the buzzer. It's that simple, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Could you imagine Heat versus Dynasty? Tyler, you shoot everybody and then you just come off the field and you don't hit the buzzer, right? Your team would be like, what are you doing, right? So this is all education for tournament play, essentially, yeah? And when you move into playing the joust, it is for fun. You're playing for the king. There's a little bit of a warrior archetype being, elicited. And, the cool thing, again, about the joust is that when you join the Glorious, if you guys ever were to play the joust, which pros are allowed, because, again, it's an opportunity for you to rub elbows and to network and to meet people and for people to be coached by you. Because when you go into the joust, when you're a 20-person team, you're the pit crew, you're the motivator, you're the player, you're everything, right? So the idea is when you join the Glorious, you're always on Glorious from that point on for life, right? And so same thing for the Magnificent. If you join the Magnificent, you're on the Magnificent from forever, right? So then one day in the future, when we're holding a joust in Arizona and, they need a Magnificent player, I'm coming in. I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I'm from Magnificent. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to battle, right? And potentially, at this point, actually, each team is well over 100 players. So it's the largest. We're gonna be growing and building the largest teams ever in paintball.
Wow!
And in the future, you're gonna be able to network through these Magnificent and Glorious channels. We have Facebook groups already where people can go in there and say, "Hey, man, I played in the Ohio, joust. This is what I found out. Who are you? And can I teach you? Can I help you? And then the generals can cross-pollinate wisdom and information. And the general is a very important mind, because everybody always talks about paintball being a game of chess, right? Right?
Yeah,
how many times
absolutely.
we've heard that?
Oh yeah, chess with guns.
So now it's
physical chess.
It's really a game of chess with guns. So if the general is the player, is the guy who's playing the chess game, and he's going to have a full Rolodex roster of pawns, of rooks, of knights, of castles, a few queens, and he's got to play them all. So he's got to know when he's got to play his pawn. He's got to know when he's got to play his knight. He's got to know when he's got to play his queen, right? And ideally, again, the essence is for everybody to improve. So if he's up a bunch of points, he's going to start playing his pawn. No problem. Get them in there, get the experience, right? So like when we did it in LA just now, Alex was the general at one point. And, when the general plays, he gets 2 points, by the way, if he wins. And Alex would go out there, and Alex ended up losing a few times, right? And he gave these opportunities for these guys to beat one in tournament experience. Like how amazing is that, right?
Yeah.
So
Truly.
again, there's a lot of value in the joust, and then it's an ongoing tournament. So like right now, I think Glorious is winning like 8 jousts to 7 jousts to Magnificent, and potentially we could do this forever, right? Where it's just a continuous tournament, always happening, always occurring, right? If you want to run a joust at your field, you run a joust. All you need to do is get 10, 20 people. Very simple. You split them up. You get 2 generals. They're allotted half the amount of paint per person. So if there's 20 people on your team, you give them 10 cases, and they're only allowed that for the joust, right? And so like when you do an entry fee, like just now in Thailand, pretty much what we did is we just charged for the paint, and then they got entry fee to it, and it's unlimited paint, to shoot, so to say, right? It's like everybody gets a case, but really you're not going to shoot a case of paint in the joust, each person, So, it's kind of an experience to be able to also have that tournament-like style, potting for each other, helping each other, pitting for each other, all filling out of the same well for the paint. Like that's a big part of the tournament experience that not a lot of people get to experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Very true. And it's only just begun. Like this thing has just been birthed within, a matter of months. It's like it's a newborn baby that is taking its first steps out here, and it's going to be cool to watch the database grow over the years. And I'm sure you have plans for the future of the 1v1 and doing more tours. Is that something that you're looking forward to in the years to come?
Yeah, I think that this thing, to be honest, it wasn't fully understood absolutely like right away, but I feel like now people get it, So I feel like now people see the importance. So when we do another tour, it's not going to be, oh, let me stand back and be shy and not show up. It's going to be like, oh, I'm showing up, like the joust is coming, like I'm there, the duel is there. There's only 16 spots, like sign me up. Like I'm one of the best, like put me in, right? Like that type of initiative will probably be for the next one. This first one, people were kind of like, well, what's happening and where are we going and what's Oliver doing and why one-on-one? Like, so we're definitely going to do another one. I think it would be cool once we search for the best and we get the best, that guy's going to be entered into the pro invitational. So he'll kind of move his way up. And then I think maybe next summer we do another search for the best in the US. I don't know if it's going to be 2 months again, because that's a long time. But I definitely want to do something in South America. I want to do something in Europe. I want to maybe do something in Canada and definitely in Asia, right? So now I can start searching for the best in Asia. I can start searching for the best in South America and so on and so forth, right? And then eventually bring them all together to play. You can do a worldwide, who's the best in the world, right?
Yeah, so everybody out there, get ready. Start playing some one-on-ones and having some fun, playing paintball in general, because as we've seen through this avenue of playing some one-on-ones, there's also players getting opportunities to play team professional paintball as well through this. And it's all going to help. Like the more paintball you play is going to help you be a better paintball player. And I think actually we're going to have to set up a glorious and magnificent type of thread in the Discord for PTG Worlds, where they can all connect in there as well.
Totally. I love that. Yes, exactly. And that's what's so cool about these online channels. One of the coolest things about the whole Hormesis in general is the Hormesis community, there's 10,000 people in there, like that's amazing, that we can network with and talk to, sometimes it gets a little ignorant in there, but you gotta rev it up and just bring some more joy and light. But the internet world is hard, but I think again, we got to keep looking at each other like brothers and sisters and being like, hey man, this is my fellow, brother in this sport and an ally. Yeah. And again, unfortunately, we're all so team oriented. It's like it's so funny, right? Because it's like, Tyler, I love you. Like, you're one of my favorite people. We've gone through so much. We've won so much. I've seen you grow in all your years and such. But then the unfortunate thing is you go to another team, and not that should hinder our relationship, but unfortunately it just does, because you have a new team to foster and new people to network with. And, the thing is like, we're also team oriented. This is my team. That's your team. So the idea with the joust is that kind of we can make bigger teams. Yes, there's going to be still a little bit of separation of glorious and magnificent, but ultimately, if you were to play the joust, now we're under the same team. And right, and there's a feeling that's involved in that, and maybe even a connectivity and a possibility of a reigniting of a friendship, right? Not that we don't have that, but we don't talk as much, and that's just a sad reality, And I'm okay with that because life is long and we ebb and flow. There might be a time where we're talking every day again, which I hope for. But the point is that we separate ourselves and we limit ourselves due to our team, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because that's your job and that's your work, and you've got to do that. And you've got to, it's somewhat us against them. But in general, we have to peel that umbrella back, what you guys are doing with PTG, with what I'm trying to do with Hormesis, of being able to say, look, there's a bigger unified faction here that is people, and we're all under that umbrella. Whether you're a die guy or whether you're a Hormesis guy or whether you're a heat guy or a dynasty guy or a damage guy, it's like, look, man, we're all paintball. Like
exactly.
That's our blood, So we have to remember that. And I feel like if we can just remember that and recognize that we're all pushing forward across the finish line together, not us against them, that's a big difference, and that's how we're going to really be able to grow the sport is to be able to become more unified and more conjoined, and recognizing that, we are a big community and we are a big lifestyle, like, when people skateboard and when people surf, it's not us against them. It's like, oh, you're a surfer? Cool. Me too. Great. Now it's like, oh, you play paintball? Oh, what team are you on? And ultimately we just need to kind of put those ideas aside that we're separate, and we need to just go into this and say, look, I can do this. You do this. You do that. And all of a sudden now we got a massive industry. So we got a massive sport. And we got that pinnacle of what it means to be a professional paintball player. And shoot, there's a generational opportunity for people to become true professional paintball players,
Absolutely, man. That is the dream. And I love you, O, and I love everything that you've done through your entire career. We've always been super close. And obviously, I wish I could talk to you more. I miss Chris too. You said Chris ran away from your house. He jumped over the fence. I miss all of you guys. I wish I could see Chris right now. What
you got to come visit. Bring the kids. Bring the boys.
I know, man. It's Bali Ollie time. I need to be out there with you. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's
how old are your boys now?
8 and 6.
It's crazy.
My gosh, amazing. Amazing.
It is so wild.
It's such a journey, man. It's such a journey, fatherhood.
Yep.
It's
you
an
ain't
insane
lying.
one, man. I love watching you guys, man, and I tip my hat to all the fathers out there. And I think that's also what's really cool about what's happening in paintball now is, you're both you guys are very lucky. Very, very lucky. You had dads who supported you in this game at a young age when it was kind of something that even wasn't what it is now, and that's amazing. Like, you guys are so blessed. I feel like now paintball is going to boom even more because there's going to be guys who are from my generation, maybe a little bit older, who are coming back into it now, and their kids are playing, and they're saying, "Hey, son, I'm going to support you. You want to be a pro paintball player? Frick yeah! Like, I got you. Like your guys' dads did. And I feel like that now that just doubles up our industry because now you had, I don't know, 50,000 people that played paintball, and then now they all got kids, or maybe they got 2. Now you're at 150,000, right? So, boom, right? We just exploded, right? And yeah, we need to keep fostering that dynamic of the father of the son, or the mother, son, mother, daughter, whatever, father, daughter, whatever it is, because that's such a beautiful thing to do with your kids, is to be able to connect with them on the paintball field. They kind of play this imaginary game of war that nobody really truly gets hurt in, and what you can learn from it, and I know that, that saved Alex's life with his dad, and of course helped my life significantly, is being able to have that camaraderie between not only friendship of each other, but, the dynamic of me and his dad. His dad became kind of my dad, a surrogate father, and so not everybody's going to have dads, Can you show up and be a dad for somebody at the paintball field, or a mom for them? And I think that's such a beautiful thing that can happen in the sport, and it does happen.
Yeah, and paintball is such a cultural phenomenon, man. It is very widely known, but also very widely misunderstood. And with the work that we're all doing with these projects and bringing as much light as possible to the game, I know that the future looks bright because there's so many people that care so much, just like we do. And thank you to everybody out there who tunes into the show and does the things, takes action and actually is playing paintball, nurturing the sport at the fields at the local level. And shout out to the community. Speaking of the community, we have a bunch of questions for you in the PTG World chat that we would like to ask you as well, O. So let's see what we got.
Okay, hit me.
Marchie, you got a question ready to roll?
I do, actually. All right, so let's go with the Dorfster 420. He'd love to know what Oliver thinks about in regards to ascending through the divisions in order to challenge oneself as much as possible versus potentially waiting for success in each division before advancing up. Basically, he's asking, do you think players should wait until they win throughout divisions and work their way up that way? Or is it better to maybe go straight from Division 3 to semi-pro and just get the experience? I say, Dorfster, you go to the 1v1 tour, you're going to play semi-pro players and see where you stand there.
Yeah, there you go. No, I think that's an amazing question. And I think that was something that was very apparent to me on this tour, was seeing how the rankings were an advancement to them, but also so debilitating to the individuals and the players, and getting stuck in rankings. And then also, like, some areas I learned, like, they can't even play in some areas because they'll get outranked, and then they won't be able to, like, they can't go to tournaments and play in this one because then they'll get outranked and they won't be able to come play with, in their divisions of where they're being ranked. So I've been thinking about this too, because I'm like, well, what am I going to do about rankings, right? In terms of this thing. And so to answer his question, like, as an up and coming young player, like I was at one point, like these guys were at one point, pretty much, at least for me, correct me if I'm wrong speaking for you guys, but like, it was pretty much, the idea was to move up every year. I'm going to play novice for a year, or I don't know what that would be now, beginner. And then I'm going to go amateur, and then I'm going to go pro. Now, maybe a year is very fast, but now there's many divisions, right? There's Division 6 to semi-pro to pro, right? So like, I think you should try to advance every year if you're taking it serious, like really serious. If you're not taking it serious and you just want to be a Division 4 forever and you never really have any aspirations to go anywhere else, that's your choice. But if you have aspiration and you want to potentially be a pro player one day, I think you should try to go up every year. That's personally my opinion.
But don't skip.
The reason why...
Or are you okay with skipping
divisions? No, I don't think you need to necessarily skip. Also, what I did learn, that pretty much anything Division 1 to Division 4 are somewhat all blended together. Like, there's going to be an upper echelon of maybe Division 1 players, but like, I saw it time and time again where a lower divisional player beats a higher divisional ranking player in the one-on-one, right? So who's to really say? The reason why there's so many divisions, you want to know why there's so many divisions?
Let's hear it.
What's your theory?
Is there's so many teams. So you can't just have amateur and have 500 teams being amateur, right? They have to create new divisions because they need you to be able to play. They can't run a tournament that has 500 teams in it, right? For first place. So they need to say, okay, it's Division 1, Division 2, Division 2, 3, Division 4, Division 5, Division 6, Division 7, right? And then it creates literally a separation, which is not bad. And it creates a more opportunity for, Division 5 to have 50 teams, right? So that's the only reason is because there's so many teams.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now,
it does make sense.
What I would propose is at least, and this again something a call to action, so to say, is like we need more tournaments. Like when we were young, there was a lot of tournaments. We had the Cal Jam, the the Pan Am, the Great Western, the CTS, the GTS. There was a lot of tournaments, right?
Certainly.
It was very generic back then. There was pro, and you could pretty much only play pro in the NPPL. And you could play amateur, novice, rookie in these other divisions, right? There wasn't anything else. There was sometimes there wasn't even. So the point being is that if you make more tournaments, there's more opportunity for people to play more and for people to get more experience. And then you can climb the ladder faster if that's your goal, right? Now we only have very limited tournaments and we put so much emphasis on them, and it's a big deal to go to these tournaments, right? And that's okay, but there should be a tournament every weekend at SD Village, Somebody should be promoting a tournament every weekend for 5-on-5 or 1-on-1 or whatever it is, right? Same thing in Arizona. Like, they're too big. Like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like, we put too much emphasis on these bigger events instead of just having more smaller events, but playing a lot of them, and still them having some notoriety, and still having some good prizes, right?
Yeah.
So to answer his question, I think you should be creeping up every year if that's your intention to be pro, and to be able to jump. I think that's a possibility. But to be honest, if you think you're anywhat recognizable as a player, you should be already playing in Division 2. Like, you shouldn't be in Division 6.
Totally
you should
agree
just
with that. Yeah.
Go to Division 2 and then get to Division 1 and then get to semi-pro. Make yourself seen. It doesn't take that long. It took me 3 years, right? And that's relatively long if you ask me. Nowadays I think you could do it relatively quickly. Like a guy like Todd Boyer, he literally showed up out of nowhere. I never seen Todd Boyer 6 months ago, and bam, now he's like he's in the spotlight, right? So there's possibilities. You just have to do it, and you have to figure out what it is that you want to do and creep up and get out of those things, and don't just dwindle and hide in Division 6, because who even cares if you win a Division 6? I don't want to be rude, but like it starts to matter when you win. You do, but it's more viable when you win Division 1 or Division 2 or Division semi-pro, right? People
Absolutely.
are like, okay,
absolutely,
yeah, right. And that's a topic that we hear all the time is what division should I play? Should I skip? And you need to challenge yourself. Definitely get out there and make it a challenge and step into the arena and be ready to go to war and test yourself out there, because that's what's going to produce those new attributes that are going to take you to that next level. Is sometimes it's going to be painful, and like you said, in the beginning, like when I started playing, it was rookie, novice, am, and then am A, am B, and then pro, so it was like you're going to spend your time here and then develop, keep it pushing, keep moving. All right. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I want to do for the duels when they get more, when we get it more organized. There's going to be a professional, there's going to be an amateur, there's going to be a novice, and then there's going to be a rookie, or maybe not even rookie, just novice and amateur. But then I'll do a kid, and then I'll do a woman, and then we'll do a 50 and up. We'll do a masters. Like I can be more specific, because I think there's a lot of people that might be like, oh, I'm in Division 5, but I'm 14. And it's like, okay, well, maybe you should just play in the kids, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and actually, we got the PTG shop steward, aka Paul, who was wondering if you're going to do a 50 and over division. So he'll be happy to hear about that. And Rounder, he's wondering about if you're coming around next year to do some more. And we know that you're going to be doing a lot more 1v1s in the landscape of paintball. And he also wanted to say shout out to the Magnificent for life, rounder 11 in the Discord. Let's go.
Love that. Yeah, I remember him. He showed up. He ripped it in LA.
Yep.
He's
All
a
right,
big part of the community. Yeah.
He's a great guy. My next question is from Inspired Paintball. Oliver, thanks for everything you do in paintball and in the community. You're known for having a certain wisdom. What is your advice for people struggling with issues like anxiety and depression, etc.?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, look, depression is an interesting thing because what really is it? It's something's being compressed on you. There's something pushing you down, right? And anxiety spills into that because that's an anxiousness. It's like you need to do something, right? So pretty much what anxiety is telling me, or if I have anxiety, which I don't, but every once in a while, I'll get an anxious feeling, and I can imagine how nerving that would be for people who have that on a regular basis. Pretty much what it is an indication that you need to do something, and that you're not doing it, right? And the depression is a byproduct of that, because when you're not doing what you want to be doing, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be depressed. It's going to be pushing you down, right? So it's like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, right? So you guys are activated. You're playing the sport you love, you're podcasting, you're broadcasting, you're out there. You don't have depression, there's no space for it, right? The anxiety aspect of it, you're doing everything you need to be doing, so you're not anxious of it. Like I'm very anxious in a sense for what's going to come of this, right? But I'm moving forward into those steps for it to become, right? So if I was sitting here in Bali just thinking about it and not doing anything, I have anxiety, right? So I'm not making forward progression to what needs to be accomplished, right? So if you have anxiety, you need to make forward progression to what needs to be accomplished. And then you pretty much nullify your anxiousness, your anxiety, right? You're starting. And it's the same thing with depression. If you're depressed about something, it usually means you're not doing something about it, right? And sometimes you have to go through depression. You have to go through a little bit of repose. It's kind of a natural part of the cycle, in life. There's winter and there's summer, there's a moment of rest and there's a moment of action. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's a moment where you need to be, a little bit less active, right? And the question is what season is it for you? And, what time of year, or where are you in your lifetime, because I had many years where I was a little bit more into the repose, especially after really leaving the sport. It took me a couple of years to be able to, I needed to unwind, right? Not that I was depressed, but I needed to unpack what was happening and then gain more energy and then be able to go back out into the world, which is kind of what's happening now. So if you're depressed, it means that there's something that's weighing on you and pushing you down, and you need to figure out what that is and then overcome it, and then, move up and out from that. And it's part of the process. It's just a necessary human affair, unfortunately, and everybody will cycle through it. But I would say both of those things, to answer your question more concisely, is there's a calling that you need to listen to, that you need to act on, and you need to go out there and you need to do them. And if you don't do them, you're going to be anxious and depressed.
Yeah, and get connected and be patient with yourself and get out in the paintball community, play some more paintball, and maybe do that thing that you've been thinking about doing, and that fun project that you want to do. That'll get you into that activity and keep you rolling.
Yeah, 100%. Oliver, great answer on that. I'm glad you asked that question, Tyler. It was actually the next one that I was going to ask, because I love that it wasn't really paintball related, and it's something that a lot of people do kind of struggle with, and a lot of people are afraid to even ask advice on that. Yeah. And more people deal with that than a lot of people think. It's just I think the people that deal with it well, or don't appear like they deal with it, have found ways to maneuver around it and have found understandings within themselves of what gets them out of it. And Oliver, that's a very profound way you put it with summer and winter. There's seasons to your emotions. And I've always said that that's part of being happy, is knowing that it's okay to not always be happy. Sometimes things just aren't going great. That's okay. But it's knowing that things are going to get better because you're going to take action. every day to make things better. And it might not be immediate, but it's the optimism that it will get better if you keep doing the right things and living the right way and doing things that you believe in. But
that's right.
Yeah,
I like what you said. It's optimistic,
Yeah.
but to have the optimism, right?
Right.
Tyler is an insanely positive person, right? It's not that bad things don't necessarily, bad things are going to occur in life. Everybody's going to lose their parents at one point. There's death is an inevitable factor of living. The question is how prepared are you to recognize that you can go at any moment, which means how much am I living, and how grateful am I for this moment of this existence, and that optimism and that emotion of gratitude is the thing that can actually get you up and out of those things relatively quickly. But the body is an insanely fantastic mechanism that will get you to do anything you want to do. But sometimes the body is it's what's the word? It's inactive, or it's turned off a little bit. And that's based on a lot of, yes, your heavy emotions, negative emotions, as well as diet. Yeah. Diet is a big part of everything, because it's kind of like when you make a garden, you have to clean all the weeds out before you can plant all the seeds for the vegetables, right?
Totally.
So if you're feeling depressed and you're feeling lethargic and you're feeling tired and you're feeling anxious and lost, you probably have a lot of weight on your body internally, with the foods that you eat and the things that you ingest, and you need to clean those things.
Certainly. Oliver, we have
take so long. Actually, you can go on a relatively quick. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It kind of cut out. I thought you were done. Keep going. My bad.
Oh, I was just saying you can do that. You can clean your body relatively quickly. Like a fast is a insane way, to clean your body. And it's a great tenacity builder to be able to learn to fast. Like when I did a 48-hour dry fast, no food, no water, and like I just became insanely resilient. Like I was like, I don't need water. That's amazing. I never thought I always needed water, and now, like, if I go hours without food or water, I'm like, I'm fine.
Well,
you eventually
I know I
can actually go
need the water. You eventually need the water and the food. That's just for all the listeners. Don't try to go a month without water. Let's not do that.
No. The thing is you can go some time without it. What I'm saying, the only thing you can't go without for a long time is air, right? But you can go many days without food, and you can go a few days without water. But you can't go very long without air. And air is actually the cleanest, fastest way to clean. It's the most efficient and fastest way to clean your body. Also, is through breathing. Yeah. So if you want to get out of your depression or your slump, you can just do really good deep breathing, and that'll clean you up. Also,
I will 1,000% vouch for the breathing. It is a game changer. Yeah. I mean, it's just, there's so many different breathing techniques too, which is crazy. If you really dive into it, there he is.
Oliver,
just breathing.
My last question is from Indiana Hoosier. He goes, Oliver, what does this modern incarnation of the Ironman need to do to right the ship of this iconic franchise? What current pro player could revitalize the team as you did back in 2006?
Wow, that's an insane question. To be honest, it's heartbreaking, and I know that, Marcelo, because we're cut from the same cloth in that. And to be honest, I mean, it's just a sick franchise at this point. I mean, they've done, they got Shane back and they got Paxton back. That's just not enough. They need some good players, and they have the money to do it. I think if they really wanted to do it, they could get some good pro players. And with that being said, it would also weaken other pro teams. It would be very smart for them to do that. I just don't know if they care as much anymore. And I think it's an old franchise, and I think its ship has sailed. I hate to say it, which is sad for me, because I have two teams. I have Dynasty and I have Ironman. So it's kind of sad to see your two things, and one of them is soaring, and the other one is just dive bombing. But it would take a lot. But I mean, anybody could do it. If they picked up Marcelo, he could do it. If they picked up Tyler, he could do it. The question is, how much money is Dye willing to invest? I mean, at this point, it would be smart because they spend a couple $100,000 every year, sending around this team that hasn't been good for a long time. So all it takes is one spark. I did it. I even saw A-Rod did it at one point. The Ironmans had many different live times, but I feel like, if they really wanted to do it, they could do it. But I don't think they really want to do it.
I think I agree.
Yeah, man, they've really been working hard too. They've been grinding, so hopefully they can start to get those games rolling in their direction and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Because I know they're doing the work. They're out there grinding as hard as they possibly can. All right, let's see.
Yeah, but they need a vet. They need somebody. They need somebody who knows how to do it and who can play good. It's not enough to just get somebody on the sidelines who knows how to coach well. You need to get people in action there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
So to answer his question, right. I think if they picked up Tyler Harmon, paid him $250,000, he could do it.
Oh boy.
250.
All right,
let's go. That's like equivalent to $100,000, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Inflation.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, we got Osborne for this. Oliver, this is my last question from the Discord, and thank you to everybody in PTG world. We love you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for getting these questions on the air. Oliver, what are your thoughts on the pod limits?
My thoughts on the pod limit. I think it's just ridiculous.
Okay.
I get it, but it's just I don't know. It's again, where are we going? I mean, in Great Western Pan Am, 20 years ago, so now they're bringing this back in. I get it for Europe, maybe, but I don't know. I don't think they should definitely not do it into the pros, and maybe that's something that they do into the divisions. If you're Division 6, you don't get any pods. If you're Division 5, you get one pod. If you Division 4, you get 2 pods. And then maybe you can work your way up. That could be something proactive, but to be honest, like, I would say the remedy to the pod thing is just to build better fields that people can actually win on, and you can actually make really great moves on, and I don't know, that would probably make it a little bit more effective, because back in the day that was never an issue, right? It was never an issue about, oh, we've got too many pods, right? That's part of the game. And an advantage if you can afford it,
Mm-hmm.
Certainly.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to be cooking up here for 2024 and beyond, because I know that's a hot topic of discussion on that one with the pods. And
definitely not in the pros, though. Definitely not in the pros, though. They should definitely not do that in the pros.
I think it's coming.
Yeah, I think it is.
Time to retire, boys. 1-on-1.
Dude, Ollie, before we let you go, I just want to say thank you so much for being such an amazing dude. Congratulations on the crazy news that you dropped at the beginning of the show of opening a shop in San Francisco. That's unreal. So good luck with that adventure. And yeah, give that man his flowers. He's going pro. He's going pro, baby.
he's going pro.
Yeah, and Ollie, just man, we love you. I know the paintball community, on behalf of everybody that's tuned in here, we appreciate all you do for the game, that you've continued to do for the game over the years. And we can't wait to just continue to watch you thrive and do your thing, man. So thank you for everything.
Yeah, boys, you guys are amazing, man. I'm just always so proud to know you guys. It's like I watch you guys from a distance here, and I see you guys even playing each other, and there's like a little part of me tears up, So it's pretty cool to watch you guys unfold and go through fatherhood and all your guys' success, not only on the sport, on the game, but then even doing something like this. And again, we just got to stay allies. We got to stay brothers. We got to see the we got to see the pinnacle and we got to aim towards it, you know, and we all have to go there together, you know, and we all have to support each other, you know, and that's the big message of this whole entire show. And yeah, thank you for giving me a platform to be able to share my passion about where I believe the sport, you know, can use some assistance, and being able to share with the guys on how to do it. And I really pray and I hope that people activate and people hear this call to action and, you know, do their part in this unfolding of hashtag grow the sport.
Anytime, OG, you are always welcome on PTG. We love when we get to have you on. Mostly, I just love that we get to hang out and have a nice long conversation. I am eternally grateful for that.
Yeah, we always have good conversations, and I think that's such a big, important part about life, is to have these partners in reflection, you know, especially great minds who have been doing something for a long time, because, you know, you guys teach me a lot, and I know things to a certain degree from a certain perspective, you know, from a certain time. So it's also nice to, even get the questions from the people in the community, you know, about things like the paint limit. And, you know, I didn't even ever think about it, you know, and maybe I answered it too abruptly, too quickly. But, you know, the point is I'm learning also, and I'm still a work in progress. And you guys are helping me, and the paintball community is definitely helping me. And it's just a fun time, right? I mean, it's a blessing, you know. It's so cool. Like, I went when we were on the tour. We went to Vegas, and we went to a Cirque du Soleil show, and I was like, wow, you know, like, and I'd been to one a long time ago, but I forgot how good they were, and I was kind of like, man, like, why didn't I join the circus? You know, like, I was like, this is my calling, you know. Like, I was like slightly a little bit pissed off at life for a moment there, going like, but, you know, like, this would have been so cool. I would have been doing that, and, you know, I would have loved it. And then I was like, but my path was paintball, you know, and
kind
you know, we
like
all
the circus.
are. It's a circus in a way, but the point is, you know, like, you get put onto a certain trajectory in your life, and honestly, about how you got there, it's kind of wild. And it actually, you can actually start to see the spiritual aspect of it, where there is a purpose, you know. I didn't get put onto the trajectory of the circus, you know, and I could maybe still do it. But the point is like, my trajectory is this, and anybody who's listening trajectory is somewhat paralleling this. And, you know, why? What are we doing? You know, how can we help each other? You know, because this is our community, you know, it's not anything else. It's just us here. So why are we on the trajectory? You know, that's the question we have to ask ourselves. I didn't go onto the circus trajectory, you know. I'm here, and there's some meaning in it, you know, and you guys are here also. And that's very interesting to me and very exciting to me to even think about that and why that is, you know, and what we can do with that, you know. And it's all in the grips of our hands, you know. How big do we want to make this sport? How much do we want to put into this, you know? I feel if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be us that's listening to this call right now, or listening to this podcast, you know. Who else is going to do it? This is the joke Alex and I always say. I'm like, Alex, I want to do a one-on-one. He's like, okay. I want to do a tour across the nation. Okay. And I'm like, are you okay with that? He's like, well, who else is going to do it? Nobody else is going to do it. You got to do it. I'm like, okay, I'll do it, you know? So it's our little joke. We're always like, who else is going to do it, you know? And that's maybe something you guys can joke about, you know, because that's when shit gets done, you know, and because who else is going to do it? You know, I sat around for a long time there waiting for somebody to pay me, you know, to play paintball, and it happened a little bit, you know, but now it's time for me to be the guy that pays people, you know, and I've got to do it, you know, which means there's a lot of other things that are in place that need to happen in order for that to occur. And that's my newest undertaking in the mastery of this game.
Yeah, let's keep paying it forward, man, and just keep going to bat for this game. And shout out to the Earth Circus. This is an amazing show that we're a part of, and you know, we're all in it together. At the end of the day, all we got is everyone here, each other. So let's keep rocking strong into the future, and keep enjoying the ride and playing a lot of paintball as much as we can out there and boosting the culture of the game.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Let's go, baby.
You guys are amazing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Dude,
brother.
Ollie, thank you,
I
bro.
love you.
Love you, Papa.
All right, OG. Peace.
We'll talk to you soon. Peace,
Peace.
OG.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as we did. If you guys did and would like to support the show, please just subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, leave a comment, give us some action that'll help us hit the algorithm. We'd really greatly appreciate it. And if you want to become a super awesome extreme supporter, head over to ptgpaintball.com, click the orange Patreon link in the top left corner, and sign up at any level. We have $5, $10, $25. They offer different things, different tiers, but all of them give you access to the Discord, and the Discord is where amazing things happen, and you get to ask our guests whatever question you want. All right, everybody. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you very soon.